Hi guys. Hi everybody. Hi Ben. How are you?
Hi.
I'm super
I'm
excited.
I'm okay. I'm in weird mode because I don't have a computer, and so I'm coming from my tablet, and so it's odd for me. I don't get all my bells and whistles and all that shit. Hey, Chad,
For-
how you guys doing?
Forgive Ben for his,
Yeah,
tablet for this evening. I'm just glad to have him here with me. I'm very thankful that he was willing to still stream with me. Um, but yeah, how are you, Ben? Besides the
I'm
computer issues,
I'm doing well. Just getting into springtime, which is busy time, so not much time else but work and a 4-year-old. So
this is
it's about
my
the
this is my I'm dying time of the year. Hi, DA.
same. Yeah, like hence the glasses. I typically wear contacts and such, and right now that ain't happening. I put them in. I've
I
been up 3 hours, and nope.
I have mine in now, but I can't have them in during the day.
Not
Uh, I feel like everyone all at once collectively, I live in a suburb. Everyone all at once collectively has been doing yard work,
hmm
and I cannot step out of my house without being highly drugged. Benadryl has become my new best friend. And also, there's this added thing of the pandemic and the issues with like the symptoms being so similar to someone who has allergies and a sinus issue
Uh-huh.
that it's
Oh,
just like I'm not going anywhere because people look at me funny every time I step out of the house.
oh, dude,
So
I feel so bad because I have that sinus cough. I mean, being it's vapor, smoke, or whatever
see,
doesn't
I don't
help.
have the
But
cough, thank God.
I get the cough, especially when the allergies are hitting real hard
Hmm.
midday, and I'm working, so I'm going to people's houses, I'm going into businesses and stuff, and I'll be like, don't yell at me. It's sinuses. I get it every year. I have documentation. Honestly,
I,
because of it, I thought I had COVID last year around this time because the damn sinuses were hitting me hard.
Mine is the sniffles and the needing to blow my nose all the time. People look at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, uh, allergies don't stop because it's a pandemic, dude. I gotta.
Right?
This is what my body does. Yeah, it's funny, but I get my first vaccine on the 27th.
Nice. I got the one shot. I got that last week.
Which one did you get?
The single shot, the Johnson Johnson one.
You
I
have
literally got
Johnson & Johnson. Okay.
I literally got it the day they shut it down. Like that. I went to the
So
Walmart
it's
here.
still
And,
available here.
yeah, it's available again now. Like
Yeah.
they opened it today.
But
Like
the limitations on that one, so here it's AstraZeneca, there it's Johnson & Johnson. I guess it's the different pharmaceutical companies, whatever. Um, but I was told I couldn't take it because I would be at risk for blood clots, which it
yes,
causes in very few cases. But because I was a smoker and I still vape and I take birth control, I'm at super high risk, so I can't take it. So they're
yeah,
like, no, no, you can't take it. And then they're like, well, we have an appointment for the Pfizer one. And I was like, yep, sign me up. I was like, yep,
yeah.
sure, sign me up.
Yeah, I was signed up for the Moderna one, but then I
Mhm.
got told that the Moderna was like a week and a half out, and they said, "Well, you can do the Johnson Johnson tomorrow morning at Walmart right by your house." I'm like, done. I'm like, because I'm
Yeah,
not super worried about it. I just don't want to be uh able to spread it. Like, I don't care if I get it because with the Johnson Johnson, it's
yeah.
like I probably still could get it, but it makes you not contagious. So it's like, okay, that's always been my concern with everything.
See,
So like,
the issue now is my uncle has
mm,
COVID, and so we are all just trying to make sure that we don't give it to the super high risk people who
mm-hmm,
basically even just a common cold could put them in the hospital. So we're
exactly.
all we're all just like, oh shit, what are we gonna do?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, and like I said, I go to people's houses. I have several elderly customers. I have
yeah.
several. I do 3 nursing homes. That's why I was able to get the shot earlier than most because I am in and out of nursing homes and hospitals and all that shit. So,
Hi, Sports
I,
Time Machine. Thanks for coming by. We'll get into wrestling in a minute. I'm just waiting for some more people to jump in the chat.
yeah, hey, it's first time. Hey, Al, how you doing, bud? ADA, saw JD in here. Saw AK. I saw AK. Could be wrong. I guess not. again, working with 3 different screens, just not my normal way of doing it. I have
Yes.
one for the chat here. I have another phone for notes, and then I have this. So
And I
apologize if I'm a little
have a new. I was telling Ben before we started the stream. I don't have actual paper notes. Hey, Eleanor.
Hey, Liv.
I don't have paper notes anymore because my sister gifted me an iPad. So now I'm saving the trees by not using paper.
Right. And yeah, Elma, I think that starts today for 16 and older in Missouri, as well. They just passed that, so
yeah, you guys are ahead of us by a bit because right now, I'm in a high risk area, so that's why I'm allowed to get it. But other than people who are in high risk areas, I think it's 45 up.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
Anyways, so you were saying how I was asking how everything is with you. How was the birthday and the trike and the big wheel? What was it?
It was a Power Wheel.
Power wheels, yes.
It was Power Wheel. It went well. It was a co-birthday and first communion party for Ramsey, my son Xander, and Melissa's son. He had his first communion the same day, so kind of joint party thing for him, and it went well. You know, he was opening up all his gifts. Leo got to open up his gifts, and then of course I learned from my dad. I had to do the dad thing of I got the big gift. I'm gonna wait till the end, and I pull him. He comes running out. He loves it. He jumps right in it and starts driving it. Then all the other kids are like, "My turn, my turn, my turn." I'm like, "Shut the Give him a second. He's 4.
Not your turn. It's his birthday and he's 4.
Give him a second, but like no. And we've taken it around a few places. He doesn't quite get it. He's figuring it out. We're working on it. But yeah, no, it was good. He had a good time. Then the next day we took him to this Jurassic Experience thing at the amphitheater here, basically drive through, and they have all the dinosaur animatronics and everything, and it was a good time. Awesome. He really dug it. So his first decent birthday he's had, because the last few have just been crap.
Ben doesn't have his normal setup today, so this is a makeshift setup.
Yes.
I'm just glad he's here.
Yeah, because I honestly completely forgot because I had to cancel trivia tonight. I was scheduled to host it. I canceled that back on like Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm like, nope, not going to happen. Don't have my computer. And then I just didn't think about them and Sam about 3 hours ago, probably about 3 o'clock this afternoon.
It was like 2 o'clock because it was during Lauren and AK's Falcon Winter Soldier stream.
Gotcha. So, I didn't see it for a couple hours though. I think I didn't till like 3 o'clock. And I was just like, oh, shit. Can I pull this? I'm like, as long as I don't have to host, I might pull it off. So, yeah. So, no, it was a good time.
I told Ben, even if he was just audio at this point, I was like, oh, I kind of already put it all together and I'm lazy to do it again.
Right.
And I'm already getting like foggy on the details of Mania, and it's only been like a week and a half. So there's that.
That's how memorable it was.
There was certain ones that were memorable. There was other ones that weren't.
Most of this one wasn't. It's not going to go down as a.
I will agree. There was, I would say, probably about 6 really good matches out of 14.
Yeah.
And even out of those 6, I'd say maybe like 4 of them were like, okay, this I can't miss. Like edge of my seat.
I would put 3 at WrestleMania caliber. 1, because I know 1 at a good match and historic, and then the rest at they were matches. That's about where it falls. And I'm sorry, I love WrestleMania. It's my second favorite. Rumble's still number 1. But WrestleMania, I get excited for it. I get amped for it. And this year, I wasn't super amped this year either. The build was shit.
Yeah,
that's a big issue with
I find that lately, and this has nothing to do with the pandemic or anything like that, because it started before that. They have been slacking on their pay-per-view builds, But this is the first time they've been slacking on a major pay-per-view build. Usually, Rumble, Mania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam are good.
Survivor Series has been weak for a long time. Survivor Series has been weak, but usually the bank will pick it up, or
They usually, with Survivor Series though, they usually will focus on the team versus team stories. So it's not a huge build, but at least 2-3 weeks out, there's already story built in.
Yes.
Whereas I feel like I'm scared for Survivor Series this year because I don't know what the hell they're gonna do.
I want them to get rid of the brand versus brand Survivor. I want them to bring back the old school Survivor Series style matches of actual people on the same show. You can build for 3 weeks with people interacting on the same show. So you can have 2 different shows and you can have 2 different Survivor Series matches. Actually, you could have 4 really with the women if you wanted to do that, or make the women a cross brand because there's not as many women. Do the women across brand, but have 2 men's Survivor Series matches. So 3 matches.
So Sports Time Machine just brought up a good thing. A good question. They said Mania was better this year than last year with no fans. And I would say I beg to differ because I feel like last year they had better build. And I'm talking build, not spectacle. I'm talking just the storylines, the builds, all of that. It was better last year than it was this year. This year,
matches were better.
Yeah, they were. And this year it felt like they were flying by the seat of their pants because they were so worried if they were going to have fans or not, which shouldn't have mattered.
That or if it was going to rain,
Put on the best show you possibly can. And that's another thing that pissed me off. If you know that your show is live, why are you having it in an open stadium where weather is
in an area that is known to rain every single day? Florida gets rain every single day.
And I feel like they don't take this into consideration because they did the same thing when they had it in the New York, New Jersey one where it snowed. It snowed. The people that were higher up in the top of the dome said it was freezing. Like you cannot have me. You can't do this. It's not feasible. There's weather. No. You can't control the weather.
No, exactly. And I will stand by this. Toronto has had at least 1 WrestleMania. I think they've had 2, correct?
2, and both were in covered stadiums.
Yes. Here's the thing. St. Louis, we have a fucking dome that doesn't get used. You can literally own the city for 3 weeks if you wanted to, because we have the dome, we have where the Blues play. You can even do something at Busch Stadium right before then, too. But they won't do it. We get the Royal Rumble, which is great, which is fine. We have an entire football stadium that is unused. Yeah. It's covered. It's, you can make it anything you wanted to. And it just pisses me off because St. Louis has one of the oldest schooled, wrestling just fandoms.
Yeah.
And we don't get it. Vince wants the Hollywood for WrestleMania. We'll go to Chicago. Chicago's had a WrestleMania.
I think Toronto is the only. No, I could be wrong. I believe Toronto is the only Canadian city that got it, but Montreal might have had it.
No, I'm more positive now. Toronto has had it in WrestleMania 11 and 17, I think, or 19, one of the 2.
I think it was 19.
But I know WrestleMania 11 because that was or was it 7? Might have been 7 with Warrior Hogan. Yeah, that was 7. So anyway, but it's Toronto. Yeah, they had it, but no other Canadian. LA's had it a handful of times. New York's had it at least 3 times. Madison Square Garden has had it 3 times. Then New Jersey's had it twice. Florida has had it a handful of times, and then Texas has had it, and then Chicago I know had one. And there's been others sporadic.
New Orleans had it twice.
Yes, New Orleans. That's the other one.
Yeah, because I remember they did the whole going back to New Orleans, the Mardi Gras theme twice.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to get into NXT Quick Times?
Yep. You can run the show on that. That's your jam.
Okay, night 1 pre-show was Zoe Starks defeating Toni Storm, 9 minutes 52 seconds. We had no predictions because it wasn't announced previous to the show.
Yeah.
A pretty good match. I think they could have done more with Toni Storm. But
I'd like to see stuff from her. Like, did she win?
No, she lost, but it didn't make her look bad. She looked good in defeat.
Good.
She's one of those she could afford to lose because her name recognition is so high, and also she's just coming back from being in the UK. So
I could see her
has no full story.
I could see her getting pulled up relatively soon. You don't think?
No, because she bounces between NXT and NXT UK like Pete Dunne does.
Gotcha.
So they're kind of they're on their own little deal. But they both have and probably will continue to make appearances on main roster.
Yeah.
The first match of the night was Pete Dunne defeating Kushida, 10 minutes, 39 seconds, single match. We predicted Dunne wins. Dunne did win, and it was...
I think I did watch that match. I think I actually did watch that match.
It was
No, I watched Dunne versus Walter.
You watched Tommaso Ciampa versus Walter.
Okay, yes. That's the one I watched. Yeah.
And Dunne versus Kushida was a really good match. And since then, Kushida has now won the Cruiserweight title in the NXT Post Takeover. So it builds Pete Dunne to now not go back to Kushida because he doesn't fit the 205 and under Cruiserweight title, but it frees up Pete Dunne to go for other things.
Yeah.
Next match on the card. Sorry,
I was just saying hey to Jake in the chat.
Oh, hey Jake. I said hi already. The next match on the card was the 6-man gauntlet eliminator for the North American Championship #1 contender spot on night 2. It was Bronson Reed defeating Isaiah Swerve Scott, Cameron Grimes, LA Knight, Dexter Lumis, Leon Ruff, and it was 23 minutes, 14 seconds. I think we both predicted Bronson Reed.
No, I went with Swerve because that was the name.
Yes, you went with Swerve, and I went with Bronson Reed or Dexter Lumis. I said depending on, they both have storylines with Gargano, so Bronson Reed won it, which I'm happy because he deserves to win it. That guy should get pushed to the moon. He's amazing. For a bigger guy, that guy moves like he's a third of his size.
Yeah.
It was a good match. Whatever. Nothing spectacular, but it was what I expect of NXT. They put on spectacular matches no matter what. The next match was Walter defeating Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT UK Championship. Went 16:59. I predicted Ciampa and he lost, but it was such a good match.
It was. And I think I predicted Walter to win. I think I had said I could see him retaining unless he was going to get a call up, which you got that down. So, I mean, because it does make sense to not have a European as the champion kind of thing. So it made sense. But yeah, and Tommaso doesn't need any championships. He knows his role where he's at. He doesn't need to be known as that badass.
It gave him something to do, and it was a good pairing because they both looked like they were just gonna beat the crap out of each other, and pretty much they did. But they're both the type of wrestlers that they're like the old school type of wrestlers that like you always know it's going to be a good fight, but you never know if someone's actually gonna get hurt from this fight because.
Well, they're both good characters. Like that's one thing Tommaso really stood out to me a couple years ago when he broke up DIY. He came out. He's like, I'm not going to be a face. Like I'm not going to be the heel you cheer. Because he got that information from Edge. Edge was like told him, that's the worst thing is that you want to be the cool heel. No, you want to be the heel that nobody fucking likes. And so even out of character, he was always just an asshole
And to be fair, it gave Tommaso something to do while Thatcher was on the shelf. Yeah. Now Thatcher is back, and they're going for the tag team titles against MSK, which works because they're so complete opposites that I think it'll be a really good match.
And Ion, that's an easy one. That you cannot defeat half a god. Half Thor wins each time. Just saying.
Next,
He has who wins first mountain or third mountain.
yeah.
But now second mountain that was Magdamighty. Second mountain was Magdamighty. So you leaving him out, that's a little sketch.
Second mountain doesn't look like the mountain.
No, first mountain didn't really look like the mountain either.
Third mountain looked like the mountain in my mind.
He was just too young. The only issue is he was too young. Like, that's my only issue with having Half Thor. Half Thor was only like 37, yeah. 36, 37, and Mountain's, well, I mean, granted, fine. Mountain would be 37 in the books, but if you're Sandor's older brother, it didn't really work, with Rory McCann as Sandor there.
True.
That's my only issue with Half Thor.
We're getting off the wrestling topic here. Okay, next match was MSK defeating Grizzled Young Veterans and Legado del Fantasma. I have to say that slowly or else I mess it up. For the triple threat tag match, it went 15 minutes, 24 seconds. I predicted MSK. I knew they were going to win. They're getting pushed to the moon. Gotcha. And they deserve it. The main event of the evening, which I think was also a really good match, Raquel Gonzalez with Dakota Kai defeating Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. It went 12 minutes, 56 seconds. I thought Io would retain, but I love what they did. And it'll bring it back to the WrestleMania part later, but what they did on the NXT after having Raquel, Rhea, and Bianca all as champions, they came back to NXT, the NXT after Mania, and there was a photo. They all started at the same time.
Yeah.
They came in at the same time, and they all harkened back to that picture of the three of them debuting, and it was perfect.
And that is cool. That is really cool. And one thing about that too, because again, I didn't watch the match or anything like that, but the Wrestle Talk and the reviews and everything, everybody was saying, okay, Io's getting the call up, Io's going to main roster, this and that, and like she hasn't shown up. They haven't really called anybody up, and then like Io needs time off. She's been working kind of like
Io and Asuka.
Asuka, thank you. Yeah. Like they've been working kind of hurt, and she's been in for 304 days and stuff, and all that. So it's like she needs time off to kind of relax and heal. It's like, okay, good, give her the time, and I'm really hoping they're gonna get seasons soon. Like we talked about it months ago of giving kind of chunks to wrestlers, which they deserve.
Also, I'd like to just point out that those three women who are now the champions across the platforms, Raquel Gonzalez, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley, are not, when you look at them, and this is from a female's perspective, they're not what you typically think of when you think of a female in the WWE. They do not look like models. They look like they can kick your ass.
Yeah.
They look like athletes.
Yeah.
So it's nice to finally see it a little bit more. We got a little bit with the horsewomen, with Charlotte.
Yeah, but they were like, okay, two of them. Okay, one is a supermodel that with a name. I'm talking about the horsewoman. One is a supermodel.
But the thing with Charlotte is she's built athletically. She used to be a volleyball player. She doesn't have the typical skinny supermodel. Like, I love them, but she doesn't look like the Bellas.
She's not. No, you're right, and you're right. She's not. It did start with the horsewoman, where they were getting away from. You have to be the atypical or the typical beauty. The A standards and everything. It started with them. It actually really started with AJ and Caitlyn. Is kind of where that first started at.
Yeah, but they didn't push them. That's the difference. They didn't push them. No. Now they push them.
Yes. No, but I'm saying it started with them because they did get some pushes. Like AJ was over. Caitlyn could have been, but she had her own kind of personal issues going that kind of held her back. But AJ got over and kind of broke the Divas, reign. And I'll give that fully to AJ and Paige. And Paige came in. I had a different look about her. Had the hot goth girlfriend look kind of thing. And then they went more to the athletic styles with the horsewomen. And I'm fine with. And now you're looking at Rhea and Bianca and Raquel, and they're definitely athletes, and they're definitely meant to be doing what they're doing, and they have their own style and everything too, which they're not. No carbon copies.
Sports Time Machine says, I can see a monster face in Raquel. Going to take time, but the jealousy will build up. I don't know. She plays a really good heel. I don't see her playing a face, at least not anytime soon. She is heel. She is like the epitome of a heel at the moment. I don't. And when she was a face for a little bit, it didn't really work for her. She doesn't.
Face.
Sorry.
A Miz face, like Miz has tried.
No, she doesn't. She can't pull off like the Orton like kind of like smarmy face kind of thing. She can't pull it off. She is the epitome of a heel.
That's what I'm talking about. Is like because Orton doesn't do face, or at best Orton's a tweener, and Miz be a tweener, but they can't be the baby face just because it's just not their personality.
She can't even pull that off. She is like the epitome of a heel in her character.
I really haven't watched. I know her face, but I haven't watched much of her character stuff, and so I need to give her a chance, give her a shot, give her a look.
Her character is a cross between Charlotte's "I'm better than you" and Rhea's "I'll beat you."
Gotcha.
So she just, her character doesn't really fit the face unless they do like a total 180 with her. But I've seen her as a face, and it just.
The only way for a character like that it could work would be a double face turn a la Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, where it's, because Austin was a great heel. I'm watching Remembering the War stuff, and they're in '97. Mm-hmm. It was before I watched it, and I never really knew Austin's heel work, and he was a great heel. I just watched the Royal Rumble from that year too, and great heel work and everything. And then you realize just 3 months later at WrestleMania, him and Bret Hart do the face turn, double switch. Hart becomes the heel. Austin's the babyface, but Austin never really changed character. It was just the perception of what he was doing. And I could see a character like Raquel doing that, where she becomes anti-authoritarian or, something along those lines to make her sympathetic to the fans, but she's still not a weak or she can't play the plucky underdog. No. That's the worst faces you get, is the plucky underdog that always wins in the long run. It's like, that's just bullshit.
Yeah, no. So we'll move on to night 2.
Yep.
Pre-show match was Killian Dane and Drake Maverick defeating Breezango. 8 minutes, 38 seconds. No predictions because it wasn't on the card. And this was for a future number 1 contenders match. A future tag team opportunity. Sorry.
Which is fine. I hate that they're doing Breezango. I mean, I know.
I love Breezango.
I do too. Like, I hate that they're back in NXT, but that's where they want to be. Like, Breeze is one that asked to go back to NXT because he's like, we're not doing anything up here. It was when Fandango was hurt. They bring Dango back, and they're in, NXT. And he's more of a trainer now, if anything, or as much of a trainer as he is a wrestler.
Breeze, not there. Breeze and Sean Spears have their own school. He does not train anyone in the PC.
I know. Well, that's the thing. He used to, like, back before his first main.
He helped out, but he's not an official trainer.
No, and that's what I mean. He's the experienced vet that gives advice, that works with people, and I know he had a lot of impact on a lot of the women coming up, especially for horsewomen. He worked with each one of them at different points.
Very much.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's more of that. What's the word? Peer review person. Then Breeze
does that, but Dango, or as I like to refer to him as his original name, Johnny Curtis, also does the same thing. Breeze is Breeze is one that can pull both the heel and the face. Dango cannot be a face. He can be stupid and funny, but he can't be a face. He's too like he's like.
But that's why that team's a good dynamic, because he can still act like an asshole.
Yeah.
But be funny about it, and it's not a malicious asshole. He's just an asshole.
Yeah.
And Breeze keeps that happy-go-lucky, and so they can still be faces. But you're right. Yeah, Fandango on his own could never be a face, like just a straight up.
Next match was the NXT Cruiserweight versus NXT Cruiserweight to bless you. To settle who is the Cruiserweight champion. Santos Escobar defeated Jordan Devlin in 18 minutes, 8 seconds. It was a ladder match for the Cruiserweight Championship. I predicted Devlin would have won, and they would have sent that title to the UK brand because they don't have very many titles.
They don't have the secondary.
They have 3 titles there. They don't have a secondary. And they have a lot of smaller guys on the UK side. But Escobar won it. And then swiftly within the next show, Kushida beat him for it. So now Kushida has it. Escobar is out as the Cruiserweight champion, which frees him out for bigger and better things. It's like Drake and Jane being called face. Yeah, I believe they basically the 2 teams have the same kind of dynamic, whereas one is kind of like the plucky underdog, funny, you love him, and the other one's just like, all right, I just want to get this over with. Yeah, they basically have the same dynamic.
Right.
Yeah, it was a good match. They put on probably, I'd say, my 3rd favorite match of the entire across both shows. Definitely worth a rewatch if you get a chance, but it's NXT. Every match is good.
That is one thing I will say about that. Like, if you're in it for the wrestling, NXT is what you need to watch. Like, their stories are good.
Yeah.
They're just not very captivating. And unfortunately, like, for me, it's super overload of trying to watch it. And they haven't hooked me since kind of the DIY time, like the Gargano, like the original DIY before even their call up. That's the last real NXT that I was watching. But still for good matches, yeah.
Yeah, they always put on good matches, and for the most part, I will say they have better storytelling than the main roster shows. So at least it's palatable to watch. I find myself not interested in watching the main roster anymore.
No, and I get that. Yeah,
I'm just like, I can't. I love the talent that they have. I can't deal with the way they put together a show anymore.
It's Vince. I mean, it's
just and we'll get into that more later. We'll talk about all kinds of lovely stuff that's gone on. The next match on the card was Ember and Chauncey. So Ember Moon, Chauncey Blackheart defeating The Way, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell. 10 minutes, 34 seconds. I predicted that The Way would have gotten it because I thought they would finally give Candice her belt that she deserves. But they did not. They left the belts on Ember and Chauncey. You did predict this one.
I predicted that one. I love Ember. She's one that I just want her to get a little bit better on the mic. If she could get good on the mic, she would be phenomenal. Problem is she's like Naomi. She's like Natalia. She can go and she can perform. She just can't captivate, and I just want to see her improve on that. Everything else, her in-ring is probably one of my favorites to watch.
Yeah. Next match, Johnny Gargano with Austin Theory defeating Bronson Reed for the NXT North American Championship. Gargano was already the champion, so he retained. 16 minutes, 23 seconds. We did not make a prediction because it all depended on the 6-way.
And I would have stuck with Gargano anyway. That would have been like.
I would like to see it go to someone else, but there are a lot of options at this point. And I think it's better to keep it on Gargano than put it on Bronson Reed just to take it off of him.
Yeah.
The co-main event was for the NXT Championship. We had Karrion Kross defeating Finn Balor, 17 minutes, 5 seconds. I predicted that Kross would win.
You did.
As much as I love Balor, I don't think there's a way to make Balor look bad at this point. He looked good even losing.
Yeah.
And so it's just, and Karrion Kross never really lost the title, to be fair. He was taken out due to injury. So it was a good match. Definitely one to go back and watch if you didn't watch NXT. And finally, do you have anything to say about any of those before I continue?
No.
All right.
It definitely should watch it. Probably won't.
And the match that I think everyone in the world should watch was the main event, unsanctioned match between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. It went 40 minutes and 19 seconds. 40-minute unsanctioned match. I mean,
to our viewers that don't know, unsanctioned basically is just a street fight. No rules. It's just another term for no rules, and the company can't be held liable then.
Yeah. So the reason for this, Kyle O'Reilly wasn't medically cleared to fight from breaking his jaw. So this was unsanctioned because they kept trying to kill each other because they used to be teammates, and Adam turned on Kyle. These two have a long history of fighting each other across many different other promotions, Ring of Honor, New Japan, PWG, all of the indies that they were in before. These two started their careers together. And if you want to have a 40-minute match, these are probably the two people that would have been the best to do it. And they put on a hell of a show. I was holding my breath. I was at the edge of my seat. These two literally beat each other. You could see the marks on each other's bodies. It was crazy. And I mean, I guess you would have to know somebody for that long and trust somebody that much in order to have a match like this.
Yeah.
Because I have not seen a match like this in probably years.
That's high praise, and it's one that, that's one that I definitely, after talking to you, need to go and watch just that elite standalone match, because I know both characters. I do know the storyline of
Put
them.
Put it this way. There was a steel, what is that called? Not a cable.
Rail?
No, it's like chain link, but like a a rope. What is it called?
Like a chain?
Yeah, but like the industrial ones you wrap around. I don't know if there's a specific name for it. All right.
The chain.
Whatever. Thick metal chain introduced into the match. At one point, Kyle O'Reilly had Adam Cole in a submission move. Adam wrapped it around his fist and started punching Kyle to get out. Then the chain was already introduced. To end the match, Kyle wrapped the chain around his knee and hit Adam with his own move.
Oh, nice.
It's just like, you have to see it to believe it. It was incredible. And that's coming from me, who's watched a lot of wrestling, and I'm usually really critical. This match was amazing. And I know I'm biased because I love both characters.
You are, but at the same time,
wow.
It's a fair assessment. I believe that one got a 5-star or like a four and three
Something
quarter.
really high. Yeah.
From Meltzer, who again, you know, people, want to shit on Meltzer because he's never done it before, but you know what? He knows what he likes, and he's been pretty consistent. It was a 4.75 because it wasn't in the Tokyo Dome. That's about it.
So
hey, Big Paulie, how you doing?
Hi, Big Polly. Thanks for joining us. Yes, a heavy chain. I'm sorry, I'm not up with my, Home Depot terminology. I asked for the thingy-majig, okay? I don't know. It looked like a necklace. I was going to say necklace at one point. I was like, everyone's going to laugh at me if I say this. I need to describe it another way. So that's all for NXT. Okay. I would say if you're going to watch one match, watch the Kyle and Adam match. If you can watch a second match, I suggest either the Karrion Kross and Balor or the Tommaso Ciampa Walter matches. Mm-hmm. Those two matches were right up there. And
that is the one I did watch, the Tommaso Ciampa Walter one, and that was a good fucking match.
Yeah.
That was entertaining, and just being able to watch those two just put on a clinic.
It was a clinic. It was technical wrestling at its finest.
Exactly.
All right, so me and Ben are going to do something a little different for Mania, for the main show, the WrestleMania. We're going to go in order from our least favorite matches to our favorite matches. There are 14 matches across 2 shows, and we'll just give our favorites and least favorites.
Yep, we're going to start from 14 and work our way from our bottom to our top. So my 14th is the one that opened the show. No, actually, I take that back. It's not. It's going to be from. Oh, damn. This is a hard choice. There's 2 matches that both should be considered worse because they're tied together, really. So this would be 14 and 13. Fine.
Okay.
Just going to put up there. It's both women's tag team matches, tag team title matches. So I'll put 14 at the Gauntlet match. Where it was Lana and Naomi versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus the Riot Squad versus Natalya and Tamina. And then that's for 14, and 13 would be Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus
Natty and Tamina.
Night 1, that was just ridiculous. That was just a garbage match that went way too long. It was the longest match, or second longest match on the card. You know what the longest match on the card was, besides like the very main event of the night 2? Was the second match, was the tag team title match between Nia Jax and Natalya. Between the 2 teams.
Nope. I'm looking at the times right now. It's not.
Okay, I have the third longest because one of those went long, and that's why another.
The longest matches of night 1 in length from shortest to longest is AJ Omos and New Day was the shortest.
Okay.
Then we have Braun and Shane McMahon.
Okay.
Then it is Cesaro, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Then it is the women's tag match. Okay. The gauntlet match.
Okay, so the title match, yeah.
Bad Bunny, then it's Banks and Belair, then it's Lashley and Drew McIntyre. That was the longest match of night 1.
Fair. Okay, fair. But because the gauntlet match went long, Cesaro Rollins had to be cut short. Same thing with this night 2. Night 2, the tag team match went longer than it was supposed to, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens had to get cut short. They were on before, I know. Or no, actually, I think the women's tag team match was the second match of the night.
Yeah.
And
on both nights, it was the second match.
Yeah, and it went long, and so like Owens Zayn had to get cut short because something had to give. And I'm sorry, night 2, no, Shayna Baszler is the only one in that match that matters at all.
So I have my 14 is Jackson Baszler versus Natty and Tamina.
Okay.
Because I think, and she is the nicest person in real life. I've met her, but Nia Jax cannot wrestle, and I cannot stand watching her in a match. because the other three people, despite Tamina and Natty not having charisma, they can at least go. They can go. They're two legacy wrestlers. They're both second and third generation wrestlers. They know what they're doing. Baszler knows what she's doing. Jax is the one where it falls short, and Jax spent the most time in the ring, and I couldn't watch it. I told you, we were chatting. I got up, and that was my bathroom break.
That was the bathroom break, yeah. And I agree. Like, Baszler was entertaining for it, and I'll give it to Tamina. You know what? She got a Tamina chant from the crowd, which has never been heard before on WWE programming. There's never once ever been a Tamina chant. So she got it up. They played the Andre Hogan spot of her picking Nia up and slamming her. Fine, great. You know, that's why I gave it a 13, just because it was a little bit more entertaining than the tag team turmoil or tag team gauntlet match. The gauntlet match, I was mad because, like, I was just annoyed because
I placed it somewhere else, so I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. You know, I liked the Morgan Riot, you know, aspect of it. They did really well on it. I wished Mandy and Brooke would have had a better showing. You know, they're both primed to be Vince pets, and they can actually both go. They've been trying.
Vince doesn't like Dana.
I know he doesn't, which doesn't make sense because he's like her perfect fucking, you know.
It's because of the way she, her current boyfriend is an MMA fighter, and Vince doesn't like the way he talks about wrestling. So
fair.
Dana's not getting a push. Mandy is still, he still loves Mandy Rose.
Yeah, they still love him. But anyway, so yeah, those are my 14 and 13. So what is your number 13?
So my 13 was Braun and Shane, only because it didn't need to be there. It made no sense to me. I love seeing both of those guys go. Don't get me wrong. Both of them put on a show, but it didn't need to be on WrestleMania. You could have that on a Monday Night Raw.
I can agree with that, and the only reason, because I'm going to score that one a little higher, even above the number 12 mark that I'm at, and I'll get to it when I get there. So
yeah, that's fine.
If you want to go with your number 12, since I kind of...
So my 12 is based only on the time, and I wanted more. Orton and Fiend. It was 5 minutes and 50 seconds. I need more than that. What was the point of putting on this big spectacular entrance for 5 minutes and 50 seconds?
Yeah. I can't disagree with you on that. I'll disagree with the placement again, just slightly, because there's one other that I have in my 12 slot for it. But yeah, the entrance and the finish, I was actually okay with the finish, the way it kind of like
I was okay with everything that occurred. I'm just not okay with 5 minutes and 50 seconds.
I agree. No, I agree. And, you know, that's, you know, like I said, the finish could have been a little bit better on the actual action of how got into the RKO, like the wrestling side of the finish. The dramatic side of it with the blood or the viscous fluid and all that, love it. I knew they were building to something. It's like, okay, cool. But yeah, agreed. That is actually my number 11. My number 12 is going to be the drum fight, the Big E Apollo Crews drum fight.
And that's my number 11.
And it's one that, it wasn't a bad match. The build was great. It was actually one that had a better build. Both guys got to show character and got to show kind of charisma and everything like that. We knew Big E had charisma, but Apollo got to actually show some charisma and everything. And the ending, again, I was fine with what's his new name? They announced.
I don't know his new name, but I know him as M'Baku.
Yeah, and it's Colonel something or it's Colonel something. But I like that ending. But just the match itself, it's like it's a Nigerian drum match, not a single drum was touched. It's like they use weapons, but they didn't use any of the drums. What's the point?
I have an issue, and I think I've brought this up before. I have an issue anytime you are at WrestleMania and you have a match like that and someone gets involved at WrestleMania, if it is for a title, do not have someone get involved at a pay-per-view. Because it doesn't forward the story unless you are bringing New Day to join Big E, because Big E isn't going to work with anyone else because he's still New Day. So unless you plan on bringing New Day to come fight with Big E, it makes no sense.
That's fair. But I do kind of like the debut at WrestleMania for a character like that. You know, so I get what you're saying. I get the mindset of how they did it, though, because it's that shock. It's like, oh, shit. Because Big E had the win, you know, it was going to happen. And all of a sudden, this big monster of a dude comes in, and it's like, oh, look, who the hell's that? And, you know, and then you get a better picture. And it's like, that's the dude from Raw Underground. Yeah. Like him and Omos. I remember both of them from Raw Underground.
Yes.
But it was like, okay, yeah. So, all right. So that was your number 11. My number 11 is actually going to be, it's going to be the Fiend Orton, kind of for what we'd already said.
Okay.
I gave it one spot higher than yours just because of, like I said, the build to it and the actual storyline was good. It's one of the few storylines in the place that was good. It deserved way more, though. So, okay. So go ahead with your number 10.
My number 10 was AJ and Omos defeating New Day because it makes no sense. You just gave AJ another title because he needed another title, and it doesn't make any fucking sense.
He's now a Grand Slam champion.
Whatever. He needed another title to be the Grand Slam champion, but you didn't put any story into it other than AJ being whiny AJ. No, it doesn't make sense. You don't take it off New Day, who is basically your only tag team worth a damn at this point. You don't take it off of them to put it on a thrown together tag team so that AJ can be a tag team he can have a tag team title to win a Grand Slam championship. It doesn't make any fucking
sense. It does to me. You know, there's only a handful of people that have the Grand Slams, you know, and he's putting the time as a way to put almost over.
AJ's been there for 6 years. He's already a Grand Slam champion. They have Kofi, who's been there for like 15 years, who's not a Grand Slam champion.
Yeah, he is. Kofi's a Grand Slam.
Oh yeah, now he is. Okay, yes, you're correct. Yeah, but it took him 13 years to even get to that point.
Yeah. I mean, AJ's doing it backwards. He came in and second title he got was the WWE Championship.
True, but still, put him and build the tag team better. They didn't build it. It's just AJ needing a fucking bodyguard because he's a smarmy heel.
But true, but they did build Omos to look like a monster, like everything else. And so it served purpose. So it served two purposes. It gave AJ the Grand Slam, and it introduced Omos, because Omos has not been in the ring. You know, we have not seen him do anything, and he didn't do much by standards, but he's that good, just beastie mountain of a guy.
I would like to see him do more. It made me want to see him do more, but at the same time, I'm sorry, you have no tag division at the moment. You do not take the tag titles off of one of your only handful of tag teams to put it on AJ.
So much.
But that's the thing. They don't have any other tag teams. The only true tag teams are them and then the tag team champions on SmackDown, which is Rude and Ziggler. Rude and Ziggler on SmackDown. Those are the only
who weren't even on WrestleMania.
No, they weren't. Those are the only two tag teams at the moment because everyone else is kind of out injured.
We got Otis and Gable.
They're not a tag team to me. They threw them together because Otis and Tucker were the tag team. That's another thrown together tag team.
Gable and what's his name?
And Jason Jordan. He's injured, so he has a career-ending injury.
I know.
That's fine. But broke. It's the same thing. It's the same problem I have with them breaking up. We'll get to it later. But the Iconics and then Mandy and Sonya. Why are you breaking up people that work so well together to pair one of them with someone completely different that they have no chemistry with.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
I know it. So, all right. So, okay. I won't be this. All right. So my number 10, I'll give it to Braun and Shane. Reason I rated them a bit higher was I liked the finish. I'm not gonna lie, it made me giggle. It made, Shane being that cocky heel, sticking his hand through, waving, and Braun just snatching him and ripping the cage down, like the gimmick cage, ripping that open, pulling him through. It was like, okay, I'll give you that. And then what was it? I forget what movie did off the top rope with Shane, but it looked, it was like a Beal or something, and it was rough, and it was like, okay, I'll give him that one. It was entertaining. It was a dumb build. It was a dumb story. It was I hate bullies when you're the biggest dude in the company, kind of thing. And so I don't know. Like I agree with you. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. So, but that'll lead to my number 9. And I gotta say, my number 9 is Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. It was just the match itself that was there was fine. It was fine. It wasn't outstanding. I've seen those two have way better matches at other times. I know their time got cut short because of the other match on the card, and I get that. Not their fault. Logan Paul had nothing to do with the whole goddamn thing, and that was just a waste of fucking time. You did get what you wanted. Logan Paul did get stunned.
I'll talk about it later when I place them.
But it just wasn't up to what I know they could do, and it's not on them. I will say this: it's not on them. They just were not allowed to do what they do. And so that's why it didn't hit me right. So that's why it's number 9.
And I'll talk about this when I get to them. So I'm not going to put my 2 cents in.
Fine, fair.
My number 9 was the tag eliminator, only because it made Liv and Ruby Riott look so good.
Yeah,
I was mad. I was mad about, not mad. I was disappointed that they put Natty and Tamina over Liv and Ruby because Liv and Ruby look good.
Yes, and they're an actual tag team.
And they're an actual tag team. There's another thing. But for me, it's like Liv and Ruby have basically been fighting this uphill battle for that tag title since before they broke them up.
Yeah.
They deserve it. Natty and Tamina, I understand you want to give them belts before they eventually leave. And I've said this before. I said this to you before. We were chatting during Mania. They want to give them titles before they eventually retire. And they've been there for a really long time. I don't know how much longer Tamina has in her. Natty probably has more time in her than Tamina. I don't think she's taken as many injuries as Tamina has. But I get it.
I did make this
wish.
Comment. Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. I did make this comment though. It's surprising to me that Natty's the third in the tag team title match. She was the she was the second youngest in that match. Nia Jax is the only person in that match that's younger than her. Shayna Baszler is older than Natty.
Yeah.
Which I found that out a little while back. I'm like, holy shit.
Natty's younger than we think. You have to remember, she started when she was really, really young. She just seems older because she's been around for so long. But she
seems older because she seems like a crazy cat lady.
That too, but I think that's because she can't have kids, I believe. So there's that. Hey, Jake, you're on your own account this time. But no, I think with Natty, it's always, you think she's older than she is because she's been around for so long. But in truth, Natty started, I think she was like only 20, 21 when she started in WWE. She started wrestling when she was like 13 or 14. She was the only woman to come out of the Heart Dungeon.
Yeah.
Her grandfather finally allowed her to train at the end of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trained by, debatable, but she was trained by some of the best wrestlers to ever step foot in the ring. You have, Stu Hart, you have Owen Hart, you have Bret Hart, you have her father, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. She was trained by all these people along with, her now husband, Tyson Kidd, and, whatever. So Natty started really young, so it makes her seem older than she is. She's the veteran without having the years of a veteran under her belt, kind of thing.
Oh, I mean, her and Randy Orton, same boat. Randy Orton's only 41. I think Natty's 39. I believe. I think she's 39 or so, 38, 39. And so, but yeah, I mean, women in wrestling though definitely have a shorter time span typically. But she's disproved that. And Tamina started later. Like that's the thing. Mm-hmm. Tamina started with the Usos, at least on the main roster. And she's 47, I think, 47, 40. Yep. She's on the upper scale even for men's, competitors. Mm-hmm. But she still, and she held her own, and
and still go.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Liv and Ruby are both fairly young. I mean, they're both mid-20s, maybe late 20s.
I believe they're mid to late 20s. I believe Ruby might be slightly older. Not sure. Yeah. I don't want to age someone. But,
yeah, no, definitely. Hey, hey, sweet.
Hey, Aaron. So we're on 9. I said tag eliminator. What was your 9?
My 9 was the steel cage match.
Right.
No, was Owens. Owens Zayn.
Owens and Zayn. Okay, so my 8 was Lashley versus McIntyre.
Okay.
It annoyed me. I get it. They have this thing where they put a big match out first. I get it.
Yeah, because it's an old saying: if you don't close the show, you should open it, because that's the second biggest match of the night.
I get it, but I think with the rain delays and everything, it made both of them kind of like, I think they kind of were out of their element. They probably warmed up and then had to wait half an hour and then had to go out there, and it showed a little bit. And I think that's another reason why I said they have to stop having these big shows in outdoor arenas, because it puts a hold on the whole entire show. I can't understand nobody can. Sweet Sam's just pretending. Sam is not pretending, Jake. I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, no. I think it was just the rain delay and them kind of looking a little meh. That kind of put it off for me. They didn't look as good as I know both of them can look.
Yes, and one thing that I think did hurt the situation too was because they broke up the Hurt business a couple weeks out, which made no fucking sense. That didn't have that added element against Drew. So him losing to Lashley like he did, because did anybody get involved? I'm trying to remember. Did Corbin get involved in it? It was just a straight loss. I mean, there might be little.
No, it wasn't a loss. Drew was out by technical submission. Drew passed out.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. So, but it's still a loss. It's still But I was trying to remember if there's any shenanigans or anything that caused him. It was just it was a clean win. Like it was
a clean win with the ability to go back and say, no, that wasn't really a win because I never tapped. I never said I quit. It gives Drew an out.
Gotcha. Yes. And which it's fine, and yes, they're trying to make the point now is they're trying to make Bobby dominant, like super fucking dominant. Question is, who are they going to be trying to build to be the guy to take him down, since Drew couldn't do it? And you like said, he can come back to us.
No,
if they had kept the Hurt business, intact, and keeping Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin as kind of threats around ringside, kind of thing, or possible interference. Not that they would have had to get involved, but just having them as the threat to be involved would have made a big difference in putting Bobby.
What show is KO on?
They are on
SmackDown. That's not Raw.
No. I mean,
I could see them building Braun back up.
Braun could be. The Fiend could be too. They could be. I mean, yeah, he's gonna be dealing with Alexa for a minute, but yeah. So So okay, so that's your number 8. You said
Yes, that's my 8.
that's number 8. So I kind of want to agree with you because I'm trying to see if there's anybody else I would put in that position, and I don't believe so. No, there. Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's an 8. That's yeah. It could have been a lot better. It wasn't bad for an opening. I did like with the rain delay, basically telling everybody go improv the fucking promo. Everybody and like they basically had
I did
everybody
like
just lined
promos.
up. Yeah, yeah. The promos beforehand were fun and everything, and interesting
Mhm.
interesting take on it. But yeah, it could have been better.
I've seen
So
both of them do better.
yes, exactly. So number 7, I'm gonna go with mine. It's the Sasha Belair match.
Okay.
It was good. It was a good match. The hair whip thing even made me do an audible ooh. Beyond that, it was a kind of like the Owens Zayn match. It was fine. It wasn't anything super special. They both performed well. They didn't mess up. I did not like that. I didn't like them losing their emotion at the beginning, tearing up, and all this. And I was thinking about this.
I like that. I like that. I
How
think
many times
that
did you see Rock or Stone Cold, or even did you
hold
see
on.
Charlotte,
Hold
Ronda,
on.
or Becky do it?
Hold on. Hold
They,
on. I will call back to a match and you cannot fight me on this. Andre Hogan.
yeah.
They took
Well,
it in. They were both looking
in.
around.
There's a difference between taking it in and like damn near, tears literally coming. And I'm not trying to call them out. I'm not. It's not the worst part of it. I'm not trying to be an asshole about this. I'm really
No.
not. It was a momentous thing for those two performers and for the industry as a whole.
Yes.
I wish Michael Cole wouldn't have said a goddamn word about it because they tried to have to show their wokeness of this is the first time 2 African American females are
Nope.
headlining WrestleMania.
The first time 2 African American people in
True.
general,
True. Again,
male or female.
I'm not against, and true, fine. I'm not against them doing it. I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that. Just don't make it a thing. Let it, people know this. Like I knew it.
They overdid it. They oversold it. You're absolutely correct. They oversold it. But I actually really I mean, I'm getting into this and I'll talk about it later. I actually really liked that moment. But I'll talk about it later.
Fair. And it just took me out of it because it's like taking, again, like you said, taking in the moment is one thing, but literally taking too long of a moment took me out.
You have to remember that, and they weren't the only ones that did it. I believe, I think it was Orton got a little thrown off when he first came out too. This is their first matches in front of a crowd in over a year.
True. I also don't feel that Bianca deserved a main event spot. I have no Sasha. She hasn't earned it to me. She's been on the main roster for a year. She's been in the company for 3 years, maybe 4. And she's a good performer. I like her character. I do. Don't get me wrong about that. I just don't think she's earned that spot like Charlotte and Becky and Ronda
I'll get into it later. But okay.
So that's right. So anyway, it was
that's
a good match.
7?
That's 7.
Okay.
That's number 7.
You're gonna fight me on this one.
Okay.
My 7 is Reigns, Edge, Bryan.
Okay.
I thought with those 3 in the match, it was a good match. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing bad to say about the match itself. But with those 3 in the match, they could have had a better match. And I didn't like the way the outcome of it because it literally ends 2 storylines. Edge now has no storyline and Bryan now has no storyline. So, unless the 2 of them are going off into the distance, which I think Bryan might be. But unless both of them are going off into the distance, it does not make any sense to end both of their storylines. It literally put we literally have nothing left for them. Because they have no other storylines.
No, and I'm actually okay with Edge not winning. I'm okay with neither one of them winning, and I was fine with the outcome of the match. I don't disagree with you though
I don't have
that
a problem with the outcome. I'm just saying
the
the way it
way,
ended makes
yeah,
it
with the
so that
simple
neither
pin,
one has a storyline.
exactly. No, and I agree with you on that. Brian, like we said, and Brian's talked about it, he's probably done. His contract's up soon, so
He's already transitioning. If you watched, there was something on after it was on the network. I was just watching it as background noise, and then I ended up catching a bit of it on the Bella's YouTube channel. Brian was actually producing part of Mania. He was in the producer's chair, so he's already started to transition to the producer backstage aspect. But if you're going to send him off, this is Daniel freaking Bryan. Send him off properly.
And here's the thing, I think they will. Brian is a traditionalist. He'll go out on his back. That's the thing. When you
But
go
you
out,
could
you
have
go.
given him his final Mania moment, and you didn't. You
It,
did a double pin, which makes no
yeah,
fucking
the
sense.
double pin was bullshit. That's the only one. Because
That's the
I'm
only fault in
debating.
the match. That's the
I'm
only reason why it's at 7. Yeah, it's 7.
yeah, and I'm trying to think, where do I want to throw this, because I think, yeah, this is gonna be my number 6. I think you're not wrong. Uh, it it fucking, it was a fun match. I loved the double submission on Reigns, with Bryan and Edge. There were some really good and like fun spots and innovative spots that you would never have thought of. All three men had.
The 3 of them can put on a show.
They can, and they did put on a show. Like, the entire match was excellent up until the ending. And you're right about that. The outcome isn't the issue. It was the way the ending. And listen to you, I have to agree. It did hurt the long term. And you're right with Edge. I see, and the thing was, it made more. I think I predicted Reigns winning. I said I'm pretty sure I predicted Reigns winning because it made most sense to me to keep him.
Yes, and I predicted Bryan.
Yeah, it made most sense to me to keep him the big bad, just dominant head of the table kind of thing. Let him run for a year and a half with it.
I just think they could have played the story out better.
Yes, it basically should have been Edge spearing Bryan through a table or something, Reigns spearing Edge, boom. Edge takes the pin, Bryan's out of it. Bryan didn't eat the pin, so he still is, can do whatever. Edge can take the loss because Edge is already a Hall of Famer, so he's already Edge. So it works that way. Edge gets the shine for putting Bryan out. Roman gets the shine for taking Edge out and defeating them both technically. And there you go. But this just makes, Roman seem that Super Roman almost level of before, where it was like, fuck. It's more of the go away heat that he had before with a pin like that, because it's LOL Roman wins kind of thing. Over, he earned, that victory, and then he did earn it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I just think for me, everything at the end of the day, unless it's a terrible match like Jax having Nia Jax in there, which is all based on her performance, all of the matches were good performances. Don't get me wrong. It's all, my opinions, all based on how far it will take the story in the future and if it makes sense. And for me, the double pin doesn't make sense because you basically shut down 2 entire character storylines. You have nothing for them. They have no other side storylines going on. And if it was just Edge, Edge can get away with that. And Bryan can to an extent as well. But if this is Bryan's final hurrah, which Edge has already said he's going to work full time for at least this year and see if his body can keep up. Bryan said he's going to a more part-time schedule and he's going to transition to producing. If that's the case, then give Bryan a storyline so that he has something to fall back on. They took that
and that's
away.
kind of what they were, and that's kind of what they were doing before all of this, before not Elimination Chamber, the Fast Lane or whatever the fuck it was, where he was building up Cesaro and like working with the younger. Ooh, hold up, what did I just do? Oh,
You're good.
okay, sorry, I hit a button. I need to put the pen down. But you know, help building up like Cesaro and the younger guys, being that, you know, leader veteran kind of thing to help build them up, because it leads to, you know, later on what we saw.
Yeah.
In that. So I think he could transition back to that role for a time as a swan song out, maybe help building up some of those guys like the Chad Gable, like Cesaro, like
Cesaro
even
doesn't need any help, and I'll get to that later.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
yeah.
Brian played a role. Brian played a role in where Cesaro's at right now because of that.
Yes.
But he could do the same thing for Big E. He could do the same thing for Apollo Crews. Let him go for the U.S. title, get in that mix a little bit. Maybe not win. He doesn't have to win it. He does not need another title, you know. But let him get in that role to help elevate those guys, that upper mid card, and that could be his, you know, outward into the producing role, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, I get that.
All right. So that was your number 6,
7.
correct?
7.
That was
your
so what
6.
is your number 6? Oh, that was my yes, yeah.
What was your 7?
My 7 was the Sasha.
Right, yes.
Yeah,
my Sasha. 6 was Ripley Asuka.
Okay.
I think it was a really good match. I think they both put on an amazing show. There was no faults other than other matches were just, for me, better than it. The only fault I can say, and it wasn't on either one of the talent, and you explain this to me as sometimes this just kind of happens, was the opening of Rhea Ripley's theme song. The metal band that was singing it, it didn't sound good. It didn't sound good. And it's not on anyone other than the sound tech people.
Yes.
Because I've heard the song. It's the same song by the same people that she comes out to all the time. It just did not sound good. And that's the only thing I can say.
And there was as a guy who's a metal fan at times, like I've been to a few metal shows and stuff. I've been to local metal shows and I've been to professional. You can tell the big difference between a local and a professional show because yes, the sound quality guy knows how to tune and everything. And she couldn't. I could tell that singer could not hear herself.
Yeah.
She started. She could not hear herself. And when you're singing live, you have to be able to hear yourself.
Yeah.
She couldn't, and that's on the sound guy for doing that. And from there, it just sounded bad, and I felt bad for her. It was like,
I did too.
You know, and because
I felt terrible for her.
Yeah, you know, and it was what it was. She kept powering through it, and by the end, it sounded fine. The announcers kind of knew, okay, we got to start talking because there's something a little off with the sound here. And it wasn't all on her. It was a lot on the sound mix. The sound mix was really bad on that. So that's a fair placement for a 6 for that one.
I think that's another reason why I don't like these big, humongous open air stadiums. Because if you're going to have a performance like that, a big open air stadium like that does affect the sound when you have live performers.
I don't know DA. I don't know the band.
I will find it. I will find it right now. You
so
go ahead.
I was gonna talk about, because at least she got the words right. She got the tone-ish semi right. She got the words right, unlike, you know, Lemmy from Motorhead, who sings 2 of Triple H's theme songs, performed them both at different shows and got them wrong both times. I know, yes, Lemmy is God. He is the metalhead of metalheads. But yeah, he just, if you're going to perform a song, know what you're playing.
So, DA, the singer is Ash Costello, and I can't remember what the band she was playing with.
Yeah, it was a
New Year's Day and Ash Costello.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on the performers at all.
Entirely. Not entirely.
I don't
There's
think
a little timing issue. There's a little timing issues on the music.
But I think that would have the same thing to do with not being able to hear herself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like, and I'm not even saying on the singer. I'm saying on on the musicians as well. And
Yeah.
that one, you still need to hear yourself, but it's a little more feel. It was just nerves, I think, played into it. But okay, so that was your number 6. My number 6 is going to be the my number 5. Sorry, because I'm number 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my number 5 is going to be the tag team championship match, Raw tag team with New Day, with AJ and Omos. As we talked about, AJ sold like like a demon for the New Day. They even brought back the Unicorn Stampede, which I love.
Talk for just a minute. I also like that Biggie introduced them. But talk to the chat for a minute. I just have to use the little girls' room.
That's fine. I'm gonna do the same thing when you get back. So that's what you get for drinking while streaming. And trust me, I know I've done way too much of it sometimes, especially lately. Anyway, but yeah, to go with the Biggie or with the New Day almost AJ match, it was entertaining. It was just they had some good callbacks to the old school New Day, even from back when they were heels. AJ, put on his normal AJ-ness. He's just amazing. There's a reason he's called the phenomenal AJ Styles. He's fucking good. And then you get this build. He's reached for the hot tag, going for the hot tag, getting cut off, getting for the hot tag, never letting almost in. And then he almost gets in. This big monster of a man just steps over the rope and dominates. Just absolutely wipes the floor with him. They throw everything at the book. They're both high flyer guys, Xavier Woods and Kofi. They're hitting them top rope stuff, trying over and over, and nothing's working. And he literally just flattens them and does the most cocky pin, the most disrespectful pin you can, puts one foot over and just stands there for the pin. And in that instance, it was like, okay, this guy's going to be good. This guy with the right coaching, and that's why I love that he's with AJ, because AJ can teach him how to work with little guys and make everybody look good, that it's going to pay off dividends in the long run. He's going to be one down the line. It'll take a few years, as long as they don't give him the Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman was one that could have been the next Andre, honestly, but they took him more the next Big Show. I want this guy to be, I can't say Kane, the next almost Diesel, that silent enforcer for the little guy, like Shawn Michaels had with Diesel until Diesel broke free. I want that to be almost an AJ for a year. I want almost to be there, and I think it was a good setup for it. So, all right, that's my number 5. Go ahead and go with yours. I can hear.
Okay, my number 5 was Sheamus Riddle. And my number 5 was Sheamus Riddle. As much as I hate Riddle, it was a really good match. And I'm not opposed to Riddle bleeding from the mouth when he loses. I mean, Sheamus bro kicked him at the end, and it was quite something. He definitely hit him because Riddle was bleeding from the mouth. He must have bit his tongue or his lip or something. Hard enough to make him bleed. I don't like Riddle. I mean, I've said this before on previous streams. I don't get his character. I mean, he's kind of like a really shitty version of RVD. And for me, it's just, it doesn't connect. I think they could do, I don't know if he can actually act better. He's just, I don't like him. And Sheamus won the Intercontinental Championship, and that makes me really happy that Sheamus finally has another title. But
that makes me wonder, does that make Sheamus a Grand Slam champion now too?
I think so.
Because I wasn't sure if he held the Intercontinental Champion. I know he's had the U.S. I know he's had one of the World Heavyweights, and he has been a tag team champion. So I'm not sure if he's had the Intercontinental before this. Or no, this is the U.S. match, right?
Nope.
No, Intercontinental. Yeah. So I'm going to say this is my number 4 match. So
I like Riddle bleeding from the mouth. It made me happy.
Going for a moonsault to a bro kick. That was well timed, and it was stiff. I mean, it was a straight shot. Yep, Riddle bit his lip, and him bleeding and everything. And I agree with you. This match was way better than it should have ever been. We were both watching it, and we said, "Son of a bitch." Okay, this This was actually good.
And it made Sheamus look like a beast again.
Yes, made him look like a beast, and made you see that Riddle can go. And I've always said Riddle can go, but I agree with you. The character-wise, I don't like the character. I'm not a fan of it. And yeah, that's a great thought you had about
his version of RVD.
Our version of RVD. And I think it's because, like, I don't mind stoners. I don't mind smoking weed. I don't care. I don't want that to be the character. I'll put it this way. I don't mind stoners. I hate potheads. I think that's the right term. I hate the guys who make it known everything about their life is surrounding weed.
The only person in wrestling that can pull that off is RVD. Because he has the move set that it doesn't matter what he says. He can kill you.
And also back when he was he wasn't overtly, he was being very sly about talking about it. He was very, because he had to be. You couldn't be open and honest about it in the business or on TV. And now Riddle's just taken that character of the, hey, surfer dude, stoner man, that's all his character is. RVD at least had the character of caring about people and all that kind of stuff.
But I think that's
Riddle,
I don't like Riddle. I didn't like Riddle when he was in MMA. I don't like him now. That's besides the point. I think Vince and whoever else saw him and said, no, not even hilarious. I think they said, oh, another MMA fighter. Bring him in, push him to the moon. Who cares if his character sucks? Give him whatever basic shit we can come up with.
Yeah.
Because he has no personality. Like, if that is his real personality, my God, you are the worst.
I didn't know anything really about him until I heard him on the Edge and Christian podcast 3 years ago. He came on when he was still in NXT. And that's his personality. Because normally when you're on a podcast like that and it's breaking the fourth wall, it's non-kayfabe.
The only person I've ever seen stay in character for podcasts and stuff like that, honestly, and pull it off well is Miz.
Yes.
Because the only person.
Because it is his kind of just personality, just turned to 11 at a time. But he knows how to turn it's the MTV thing. It's the coming up, knowing the character you're playing. And exactly. He does that well. Bray Wyatt, back when he was just Bray Wyatt, like first starting out, he kept in character. He never
but Undertaker and Bray don't do, and Kane. Undertaker, Bray, and Kane don't do interviews very much. It's very rare to have an interview from when they were for Kane and Undertaker when they were full-time wrestlers, and for Bray, even now, finding an interview is really difficult. They don't do a lot, and I think that helped.
Exactly, and you're right. And so like the ones that do go out, like the Miz, he stays in character and does it. But like Riddle, he wasn't in character. That was just Riddle on that podcast, and it was like, okay, that's who you are, and that's who you actually. No, sorry, man.
I just don't like him as a person. I think.
Yeah. Again, if your whole character is I'm a pothead or I'm a stoner, and that's the only thing interesting about you that you can promote, you're not interesting.
And it's not even interesting. It's like someone. Okay. With everything the way it is now and everybody knowing so much about weed and CBD and whatever, he's like the 1970s version of a stoner.
Exactly. Yeah. He's half-baked. He's half-baked come to life.
He's dazed and confused. He's Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused.
No. RVD is Matthew McConaughey.
That's true. Yeah, that's more RVD. You're right. You're right. I'm wrong.
He is fucking not Dave Chappelle. He's Jim Brewer from Half Baked.
Yeah,
that's Riddle.
Yeah,
and so that's I'll stand by that statement.
Yeah, you're correct.
So I'm incorrect. So that's my number 4. Because that was your number 5, right?
Yep.
So that's my number 4.
My number 4 was Bad Bunny. And Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison. I mean, Miz and Morrison and Damian Priest get all the credit here because they're working with a celebrity in this match, and they made him look really, really, really good. And Miz and Morrison get more credit because Damian Priest is still fresh to the main roster. He still doesn't have that. He knows what he's doing because he's been around for a hot minute in different promotions. But this is his first real big thing with WWE. But the fact that Bad Bunny put in so much training to be able to pull off the timing and the moves and whatever with them coaching him. And I just found this out because I was listening to a podcast yesterday. He only learned how to do the Destroyer 6 days before. 6 days! Again. And you heard me. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, that's amazing. What the hell? I've never seen a celebrity.
I will talk about
effort.
I'll let you kind of go because I have it in a different position.
Okay. So, I've never seen a celebrity put in this much effort into a match and have it be so good. Celebrity matches are usually crap. It's usually like, okay, this is washroom break time. No, this was not washroom break. This was sit your ass down and watch this whole entire match because these 4 guys are putting on a show.
Yeah. So go ahead with your number 3. Go ahead and go with your number 3 now.
My number 3 is Banks and Belair.
Okay.
So my number 3 is Banks and Belair. And I'll talk about that moment that you were talking about that you said took you out of it. It put me more into it. It invested me more into this match because you could tell that they both wanted to put on a show enough to live up to the expectations of where they were placed. You could tell that they wanted to make sure that they were giving these people the respect for them being in the main event. Not only that it was historic, it was a women's match, one-on-one women's match in the main event. It was the first 2 females, Black females, African-American females in the main event spot. It was the first time 2 African-Americans in general had the main event spot. It was for a title. It was like they wanted, you could tell that those 2 women wanted to make sure they gave that crowd every dollar's worth of the ticket price. And to a point, even if you watch the ending, Sasha, I've never seen Sasha lose and be so happy other than her match against Bayley in NXT. She was so happy for Bianca to win it. And also, we talked about Io Shirai and Asuka needing a break. Banks has had a championship between the tag championships and the SmackDown champion. Raw or SmackDown? SmackDown championship. She's had either the tag team or SmackDown championship throughout. No, she held both.
Before that, she was with her and Bayley were going.
No, but I'm talking about the beginning, from the beginning of the pandemic when they lost fans. Yeah. That's when her and Bayley won the tag titles. She got the SmackDown championship while she still held the tag belt.
Didn't she get up Bayley?
Yeah, but Bayley was the tag team. They had just lost the tag team title, and literally the next thing they did, she got the SmackDown. So she's never really not had a title throughout the entire pandemic. And I will say, Bayley not so much, but yes, Bayley deserves some credit too. But those 2 women carried the women's division on their backs because there was no one else other than Asuka. Those 3, throughout the entire pandemic, people were out with COVID, people were out injured, people were, I don't even know where they disappeared to. It was like there was no women's division.
Broken
boob. Those 3 women held that women's division together. So Banks deserves a little bit of a break too, although I'm sad that she lost the title. I wish she would hold it longer because she always has these short reigns, and I think she deserves better.
This was a fairly long reign. Not
as long Not as long as Bailey, Becky, or Charlotte, though.
No. True. So I guess my biggest
deserves it.
Yeah.
But she also deserves the break from holding this women's division together for so long. And I think as much as you say Bianca doesn't deserve to the spot that she has, I think if you just play back to, you don't watch NXT.
I don't, but NXT doesn't count. That's key.
But it does. It does now. It does now. And main roster, Vince did it to himself when he had all those superstars stuck in Saudi Arabia, and he had to call up the NXT roster to main roster to fill in for them. No, SmackDown. It was the SmackDown show.
Yeah.
And he did it to himself. And then he did it to himself again when he involved NXT in Survivor Series. If he didn't do that, then I would still say it doesn't count. But now it does. And you can't tell me any different because
fair.
Vince did it to himself.
So fair. And okay, I'm not going to disagree with you. It was a good match and the momentous occasion for it. I'm not going to shit on either one of them. They both deserve that. My problem was
the build put on a hell of a match.
The build for this match, though, we talked about this, does play into it. Was a shit build.
It was pretty much the entire card was a shit build.
Apart from Orton and Fiend. Like, that was the only one that had a decent build, and that was one of the lowest rated matches, in our opinion.
And the shortest match.
And the shortest match, yeah. But, it was a shit build, and it didn't get over their personalities very well, to the casual viewer and everything like that. The match itself was a good match. It didn't resonate with me, and I guess, because another issue I have with it is it did take WWE this long to have two African-American athletes headline WrestleMania when they had
I was shocked when I heard it. I
was like, wait, no. Yeah, no, that makes, I mean, it sounded right. As soon as I heard it, I was like, I hesitated for a second. I'm like, yep, sounds right. And that's bullshit. It should have happened long ago.
They had people like The Rock and Booker T that could have main evented, and they didn't have it.
That's Farouk, Ron Simmons. You had you could have Kofi Kingston and Big E. That'd been a hell of a. I'm just saying. I'm not saying not to take away from Sasha, but there's others that could have done it before this time.
Yes,
and
you're absolutely
for them to choose to do it now, it just felt disingenuous.
It did feel disingenuous, but I'm glad that it was those two that got it because it did elevate the women's division more, which I think they need because their women's division is, quite frankly, their women's division and their tag divisions are lacking.
Yes.
I
absolutely agree with you. I do agree with you. So, okay, I will go to my number 3 then. Number 3 is the Rhea.
Asuka.
I absolutely love this match. It was brutal. Rhea lived up to her name of brutality kind of thing. That DDT, that DDT off the apron, like it was like a hooking DDT off the apron to the floor, made me literally jump out of my chair and go, holy shit. And my wife's like, what? I go, you won't get it. Because I'm literally watching on my laptop, and I jumped out of my chair. I'm like, holy fuck. It was brutal. And those two could not, there's no women in this division better than Asuka. I will say this. She's one of the best technical, makes you feel it athletes. Rhea is just a badass that you can tell is going to kill someone.
The thing with Asuka too is, even though she cannot speak English very well, you can get what she's trying to say even when she can't say it in English.
She doesn't have to speak English. She's getting across. The worst thing that they did is put a mic in front of her and try to make her do promos. Leave her the silent fucking killer.
No, I like when she does promos. I like it now.
Well, I mean, it is funny. Now, yes. I'm talking like in the first year and a half on the main roster, she should never touch the mic. Just come out, beat ass. You know what she's doing, know what she's, interpreting and everything like that, and just do it that way. But I love that match. I personally would have preferred that to close out night 2. That was a better women's match, in my opinion. Just hands down. but it was just entertaining. So with that said, that being my number 3, my number 2 is actually Bad Bunny, Damian Priest versus Miz Morrison. Way better than it should have ever fucking been.
Yeah. Much better.
So much better. I stand by this. I do not like Bad Bunny's music. I can respect him. I can respect what he does, and I can respect that his fans enjoy his music. I do not like it. I do not think it's good. But it's not bad music. It's just not my style. When I hear it, I don't like it, and that's all I can say about it. It's not saying it's bad. I don't like it. But what he put into that match, he was in that match probably more than Damian Priest.
It was.
Like, yeah, he had more ring time than Damian Priest in it, which was the point, was Damian Priest was going to be the hot tag and everything like that. And yeah, he did do the Canadian Destroyer, or the Mexican Destroyer. Let's call it proper. He did the Mexican Destroyer.
No, WWE, use the WWE term. It's just the Destroyer.
Destroyer, yeah. Well, I was being sarcastic because it was invented by, Petey Williams invented it, who was Canadian, and Bad Bunny's Mexican. He's Puerto Rican.
Bad Bunny's Puerto Rican.
Yeah, he's Puerto Rican. Sorry, so it's Puerto Rican Destroyer. And I said that, I told you this. I go, here's the thing: the Destroyer is one of the easiest moves to pull off and look like a beast, because all you're doing is a front flip. That's literally all you're doing. You're grabbing the partner's waist, and you're doing a front flip, landing on your back. The other person is doing all of the work. Like they're literally moving backwards and landing on their head and bouncing off.
But he had to at least, Morrison had to at least trust him enough to be in that position.
To get his legs properly positioned, yes.
Yeah.
But still, 95% of that move is on just the guy taking it. 5% is on the person doing it, but it still looks badass. Them pulling that off, it made Damian Priest look like a badass. It made Miz and Morrison their normal selves. I wish they would elevate Morrison a little bit more, just because he deserves it. He has put in his time all around. He's a great performer. He
left them, and Vince is salty.
Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. That and the Melina room stuff, the stuff.
No. Vince was salty. Vince was salty about that before, but Vince was salty that he left and he made a bigger name for himself outside of WWE.
Yeah,
and that was what pissed him off.
Fair. But that match, it was way better than I ever expected. And then watching it, I'm like, holy shit. This is in contention for match of the weekend.
Yeah.
Which to me should never have happened.
I can hear you. The dog is freaking out.
No, you're fine. A match like that should never happen with a celebrity, hip hop artist who comes in. And the thing is about Bad Bunny, even the guys, all throughout the business, like he put in the work. He came in, Performance Center, trained, learned, and everything. He got guys like Randy Orton to full on respect him, and singing his praises and everything. And so you get that. It's like, hey, you know what? You're in the biz. You did your job. Good work. And the send off they had the next night of Triple H giving him the microphone or whatever, going right back off on the semi. And he got his own fucking entrance, which fine, most celebrities will get their own kind of thing. But he comes riding in on the top of a fucking semi and all this. It's like watching, I'm like, God damn it, really? That's just douchey. Like when it first happened, it's like, come on.
But they used it to send him off to promote his tour.
His tour, exactly. And so it
Which is awesome.
It was all well tied together. Like, you had to watch the second night. And even after, okay, so I said it was douchey before I watched the match, like the entrance comes in. I'm like, oh, come on, that's douchey. Then the match happens, like, that's a fucking kick-ass entrance. Hell yeah, that guy deserves that entrance. He earned that cool entrance by what he did in the ring. So, yeah. So, okay, I think we're in agreement, though, for number 1.
I didn't say my number 2.
You did.
No, I didn't. What was my number 2? I talked about Banks and Belair last.
Yeah.
My number 2. My number 2 is KO. My number 2 is KO Zane.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And my number 2 is KO Zane because yes, it was a short match. Both of my 1 and 2 are both short matches. Those two, I could watch them do anything and I would be happy. and it would be a great match, but KO stunning Logan Paul. Ben?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I'm
here.
KO stunning Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Sent me over the moon. I was jumping up and down. I was so happy. I was beyond happy. And they set it up perfectly because it makes KO look like the older brother. Like, I can talk shit about him. I can beat him up, but you don't get to.
No, and that was the only shining part of that match. Like the rest of it was just.
I mean, I could watch them fight like that all fucking day long because I love both of them. So that's just a Sam bias. I get it. That's why they're my number 2. And we agree on number 1. Number 1 is Cesaro Seth. Nothing topped it on the main WrestleMania card. NXT, definitely there was a couple matches that topped it, but nothing touched it on the Mania card.
Like I said, actually, the Bad Bunny match was very close to me. Like,
yes.
It was like when I put that in my number 2, I almost put that number 1 just to see the look in your face to do it. But it was amazing. It was a clinic. It had the right emotion, the right pacing, the right moves. I don't think there was a single botch. Like I don't remember seeing any kind of botched move or anything like that.
There was 3 major botches.
Mm-hmm.
So Mandy Rose, not in that match, in general, in WrestleMania. Mandy Rose falling. I think it was Liv and Dana Brooke on the top rope. I think Dana slipped or Liv slipped, and they held it together, but it was from the rain. And then the other botch was Sheamus. Sheamus and Riddle. Sheamus slipped, and it was all due to the rain.
All due to the rain on the first, And but with Rollins and Cesaro, like we both were watching it and chatting back and forth, so like this is gonna be almost impossible to beat. Mm-hmm. The only match that I thought could have done it, and up until the ending, it would have been a hard competition. Would have been the triple threat Universal Championship, because the rest of that match was phenomenal, but the ending just ruined it. This match, it had everything. It had the comedy, had the intensity that you'd want from a get over match, because there was no time.
It also had both of them showing how well they know each other by getting out of each other's moves.
Exactly.
They almost immediately went for their signature moves, and both of them found ways to get out of it. Al agrees with us. Rollins and Cesaro was a wonderful match. It was. Bye, JD. Have a good night.
Have a good night, JD.
It was amazing to watch how intricately detailed they are in planning what they do, because literally Cesaro and Seth were finding ways out of each other's moves seconds before they were going to happen. It wasn't like you couldn't tell. It kept me on the edge of my seat, which is what I love to see. 90% of the time, I know what's going to happen before it happens because you can telegraph it. This match, I didn't know.
There was one that I did call out as I was watching. I'm like, it's going to be a stomp into an uppercut. And sure as shit, like 30 seconds later, you saw it happen. And it was like, and that was, kind of, you knew it was going to happen. If you think back to the Orton Rollins match where they got the RKO out of the stomp, it's like, okay, you do that, you got to get the uppercut out of there. Yeah. So that was the only predictable spot. Well, that and the swing and going the 24 spins or whatever, 23 or 20.
But with both of those, I will say they were both attempted previous in the match, and the other one got out of it, and then eventually they
found a different way to get it.
Yes.
So no, I agree. So it was. Yeah, and I agree with you. What they're trying to, like, they keep starting and stopping. That's kind of what I was going with earlier about Daniel Bryan. 2 months back in February, right before Fastlane, him and Cesaro had a program together, and it was Daniel Bryan's way. And this wasn't storyline. This is like backstage kind of thing. it's Daniel Bryan's way of showing the uppers what Cesaro really. I mean, and Cesaro's been around, and they know what he can do, but it was just to draw him just that one next step up, and Daniel Bryan did that, and now Rollins took it the next one to show him, hey, this is going to be the match of the night. We're going to put on the best match. And
hold on, I have a question about what Al's talking about. Al, I'm going to need you to kind of elaborate a little bit. Commissioner, general manager, there is none, as far as I know, on SmackDown.
Yeah, it's still Adam Pearce. Like, he's the...
I thought he was on Raw.
No, he's SmackDown.
Oh. Well, I know they have him and Sonya Deville going back and forth as kind of like
they're on
people.
SmackDown.
Cesaro, I think they're setting him up to be Roman's next opponent. They have to do it in a very methodical way with Cesaro, because if they do it and just give him the match and don't give him a story, people are going to complain, because Cesaro deserves better than that. And they've heard the fans saying this for years and years and years. And now with Brian being the producer, Brian can say, listen, people don't like what you're doing to this guy. And he is probably one of the best wrestlers you have on your roster.
Yeah.
Maybe you should do better, because if not, he's going to leave.
See, and the only thing I disagree with, I don't think he's going to be one of the next. I think he might be like the SummerSlam opponent, or even the Survivor Series opponent to Roman, and be the one to kind of take him down. Because I think this build, this as long as they keep it going, they keep the small stuff. So you let Cesaro take on, he took on Rollins, got him done. Took out Bryan, got him done. Go for the champions that you have. Next, Kofi's on Raw, but find the champions that are there and let him build.
I think the storyline for Cesaro, Al says the story makes no sense right now, and it doesn't. But I think Roman's next opponent, from everything I read, is not going to be Cesaro right away. I think his next opponent is Seth. They're setting up Seth versus Roman. Now, if they do Seth versus Roman and have Cesaro lurking, Cesaro can then come and say, if Roman beats Seth, Cesaro can say, well, I beat Seth, so I'm your next opponent. I'm, the next person that should get this title shot. That's, I think, the perfect storyline to go with. I don't know if they'll go with it because they're writing a shit, but...
Yeah, and it's heel, which is not that great to do, but if you do that, here's Benji Books the World. You do Roman Seth, you do Cesaro KO for number one contender.
Mm-hmm.
Because KO's been a former world champ, so then you've had Cesaro beat Bryan clean, Rollins clean, KO clean, and you have face, heel, and then, Money in the Bank, maybe, because Paybacks, it's not going to be there, so I guess Money in the Bank will be the next one, so the one between Money in the Bank and SummerSlam, if there is one, maybe, have the payoff there where it's that, and then build up to SummerSlam, Roman versus Cesaro. Cesaro's gone through all the world champions that you have. Mm-hmm. I've never gotten to face Roman one-on-one, because I don't think they have ever had a one-on-one match.
No.
And so it's a perfect build. I've beaten every world champion, and here we go. And you have Roman build up the head of the table thing. Possibly Jim Uso being back by that point.
I think he's still out for a while.
I got you. And I don't know the severity of
his. He basically had an entire reconstruction of his knee, so I don't know how long he's going to be out for. And to touch on Al says Roman keeps telling him to shut up and be quiet, and I think Cesaro shouldn't keep taking that. But Cesaro's character is the type that would let someone keep telling them to shut up and then eventually punch them in the face. He wouldn't do anything right away. He's the type of person that lets it go and lets it go and lets it go and lets it go and then does something.
Exactly.
He's
so
that's his character, at least.
yeah, and I would love to see that build, and I think SummerSlam would be a perfect spot to finally get that brass ring. It's not the WrestleMania moment.
Hold on, fandom just came in and said, "I'm so late. Start over, please." No, rewatch it, fandom. Just take it from here.
Right.
I love you, but I'm not redoing all of this.
Hell no. I've now lived through WrestleMania twice. That's enough.
Yeah. But yeah, I like it. Can we just touch on something? Okay, go ahead.
Mine was gonna be more of a bitch. Fuck Peacock. You cannot rewind because you still gotta watch it on the network. I could if I paused or if I walked away, I could not pause. I could not rewind. I couldn't even if I started late, I couldn't go back and watch it from the beginning and fast forward and skip ahead. No, it's you have to watch it live all the way through, and then after about an hour, it gets uploaded to a VOD style thing, and you can watch it in VOD style.
1 second. Cesaro Lashley doesn't work because they're on 2 separate shows. They're trying to keep them separate. Cesaro's on SmackDown, Lashley's on Raw. And they'll keep Cesaro. Fox is keeping Cesaro on SmackDown. There's no shot that he's going back to Raw. But yeah, no, I'm still on the network because I'm in Canada. So, but I can't watch it on the app. So the app no longer works because you guys switched to Peacock. So now I can't use my TV subscription because I have it through my cable provider. Before I used to be able to use it on the app. The app doesn't work anymore. So now I have to log into the actual website to be able to watch old shows. And I've been rewatching NXT, like really old NXT, like the first ever NXTs. Can we please touch on the fact that what are your thoughts on Sasha Bianca? I loved it. Ben said it could have been better. I think it was amazing. I think that the moments were captured. Ben said a couple of them took him out of it. They put on a hell of a show, either way you look at it. It was just, there are certain things on the production side of it that Ben would have not liked. And there are certain things that kind of took him out of it. Deep inhale, you're taking, sir. Who is this?
I don't know.
Mark?
Probably making a joke about me vaping.
Oh, I'm like, what? But yeah, and it was a good match. It was a good match. It wasn't best match of the night for either one of us, but it was a good match. It was my number 3. So
my number 7.
Yeah.
So, and again, it wasn't a bad match. Anything above 10 was good matches, in my opinion. They were good, enjoyable matches. Just the story.
It wasn't Mania. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna touch on something. They did it again, exactly 1 year to the day. They released Mojo Rawley, Bo Dallas, Wesley Blake, Tucker.
That one sucked.
Kalisto.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. They haven't been using him.
Chelsea Green, Mickie James, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and Samoa freaking Joe.
Okay, so I'm going to get to a couple of those. Mickie James and before all made perfect sense. It does suck what they did to Mickie James, and apparently it's not the first time.
There's a couple things that I'll touch on after with a couple of them, but go ahead.
Yeah, but Bo Dallas said they finally found his phone number to get a hold of him, so that made sense. Kalisto, it's fine. He can, they weren't using him. They have other Mexican talents, Hispanic talents that they can kind of lean on and go with, and he can go off to AAA or he can go to AEW. I'd love to see him in AEW.
He won't go to AEW.
You don't think?
No. He'll go to AAA and have a Ray Phoenix-esque contract where he can do shows with AEW, but he'll be a AAA talent.
Yeah, okay, fine, fair. Yes, but I can see him in AEW versus Ray Phoenix and Pentagon, and oh my god, that's so cool. Anyway,
I don't think
now,
he'll be like Penta and Phoenix. He won't be like a main player for them, but he'll come in for special events.
exactly. He's got the recognition. He's got bigger name recognition than they do. You know, just in general, just from coming from WWE.
No,
He's got
no. For you,
on an American scale. Like I'm saying, when they're trying to promote to the American population, because he's from Chicago. Kalisto's not even, he's Hispanic, but he's from Chicago.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm saying, but I think you're underestimating how, because this is self-professed by you. You said you don't really watch anything outside of WWE. Phoenix and Pet, well now, but before AEW, Phoenix
and I knew them from Lucha Underground. I did watch that. So I was aware.
Huge.
Yes, and I'm aware of of their draw and everything like that. What I'm saying is they can use Kalisto as, yes, that special occasion person to draw in the North American crowd. That's more the WWE audience because, oh, hey, Kalisto's taking on Pentagon, or Kalisto's taking on.
I think that would work better. I think what you're trying to say works better for AAA than it does for AEW because they already have so many people.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about AAA.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking. Because when you said he won't go to AEW, I agree with you. He'll go to AAA, be a full contract with them, and license out to AEW and New Japan. He'll bounce around because he has that name draw of previously worked being a name talent in WWE. That's all I was going with.
Bye, Al. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, so the Iconics getting released. Yeah, that one was like, okay, we had Billie Kay kind of like she performed at WrestleMania.
That one pissed me off.
And
Joe pissed me off, but that one really pissed me off.
Joe, I think, is more of a Randy Savage spot. Yes.
Nope.
Yeah. They find him injured. They find him. No. Do you know what I mean by when I say Randy Savage spot?
They find him injury prone.
Injury prone, and he was unlikely to be put back in the ring or on a full schedule that he believes he can still do.
It's been proven incorrect.
Okay.
I'll touch on it after, but go ahead.
I mean, and that's all I'm saying, because that's all I'm basing off of. Joe kind of said, "Hey, either let me wrestle or let me go."
So Joe came out and said he's seen 5 specialists, all of which have cleared him. WWE wouldn't clear him. It's the same deal as Christian had.
Yeah, and Daniel Bryan and.
Well, no, because Daniel Bryan, they eventually let him back in. Christian, they only let him in the Rumble. They didn't let him in an actual match. They only let him in the Rumble. It was different. Christian said that they didn't want to clear me. Eventually, he got cleared, and then they still were reluctant to use him. So, and Joe knows he can go, and if he knows and he's cleared,
why not say, hey, okay, can I be done? If all I'm going to do is announce, can I go somewhere and do what I want to do? And
he didn't ask for his release.
He didn't ask. He probably made it known, like, this is,
he only made it known that he wanted to get back in the ring and off commentary. He did not enjoy commentary. And a lot of people have said this now. He's not the first one. A lot of people have come out and said they do not like WWE style of commentary because Vince is in their ear at all times.
No, and I agree. And that's why I was saying the Randy Savage style of thing, because that's exactly what happened with Randy Savage. Basically, Vince said, okay, you're done in the ring. It was an injury issue. It was more, you're done in the ring. I want you on commentary. And then Randy's like, no, I want to wrestle, so let me wrestle. And they basically came to a party in the ways, and, he let him go, and Randy went on to wrestle in WCW. And it's kind of the same thing with Joe. I did like Joe on commentary because Joe's a great talker. Joe's probably one of the best promos in the company.
So I'm excited. I don't care where Joe goes because there's place for him everywhere. Like he could go back to Impact and be fine. He could go to New Japan and be fine. But I'm really excited by the possibility of him versus Eddie Kingston with the promo versus promo. Those two guys on promos alone could have me on the edge of my seat without even touching each other.
Dude, yeah. Oh no, agreed. I want those two. I want Joe to do kind of what Cody Rhodes did.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to do a tour of the indies. Go back to
he won't do it because of his age now. He doesn't have the time to do it.
Yeah,
Cody still had the time. Joe doesn't have the time. If he wants his last big run to happen, which is what he said he wants,
he's got to pick. He's got to pick one spot and stick with it.
Pretty much.
I can see that's going to be AEW.
It could be AEW, but it could also be Impact because Impact has that relationship now that they go cross.
True. And
I think they'll do it with Joe.
I would love, first, because I don't watch Impact, I'd love to see him in AEW. He would be better off in Impact, though, because he could come in and be the ultimate dominant force right at start.
He was the Impact guy for a long time.
That's what I'm saying. It's built-in story. It's his house. He built it. Him and AJ Styles built it and everything, on their backs. So he's got the built-in story. And then, I can tie it in. Because, if he goes to AEW, he's going to get middle pack. He's going to get, because you're not going to, you might have him go up against Kenny Omega. But
I think they have definite possibilities for big, big matches, but they won't put him against Kenny. But he could go against Kenny. I just don't see how right now it would work.
And that's what I'm saying. And if we're
going July is a long way away.
Yeah, if we're going with the fast
none of them can go until July. July is a long way away, so we'll have to see where storyline goes.
So the Iconics, I can almost guarantee are going to AEW. At least,
the only thing that's making me question if they would, because they'll go as a pair for sure, guaranteed. They've already said it. I mean,
so
they started together. They're gonna go together.
Oh yeah.
Peyton or Cassie, her husband is Sean Spears, who's in AEW, has a great relationship with Cody Rhodes. They've been friends for a long time. He's also one of their trainers. I can see them going there, but the only thing that's giving me pause is that AEW doesn't have a women's tag team division currently.
Not yet, but they're going to.
They just got rid of a member of their only female tag team because she had some backstage issues. So they just released Ivelisse, who she has a long history of having issues with other companies as well. Yeah. But she has an issue with Thunder Rosa, who's one of the main coaches at AEW. And so that was the reason for her release. And so I think there's a great chance of them going to AEW if AEW can find a spot for them. And like I said, there's a long time from now until July. But Impact has a women's tag division.
They do, and it would make sense for them to go over and, run.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
I don't either. It wouldn't shock me for that reason, but oh my God, how funny would it be if they come out, AEW or Impact, either one, music hits, it's kind of similar, come out, they do their pose, ironic.
Nope, they can use iconic with just one eye. Their trademark is two eyes.
Fair, but it would be funnier if they came out as the Ironics.
WWE couldn't trademark the word iconic.
Yeah.
So they had to put another I in front of it. Now, AEW and Impact don't really deal with trademark issues as much because they don't own the characters.
Yeah.
So they won't have this issue in either company.
Exactly. The only thing is they'd have to come in with their own, like you said, Cassie, and I don't know Billie Kay's real name.
Billie Kay is Jessica McKay, and Cassie Peyton is Cassie, Cassandra Mix something, I can't remember, but she goes by Cassie, and Billy and Peyton have already changed their names on all their social media. It's now Jessica and Cassie. So the other person, there's two other people that I want to touch on. Mickey James, I think it was a slap in the face to let her go this way again for a second time. Yeah. And I think it was, and I believe he got fired. Mark Carano posted a picture, who's like a talent relations guy. He's been on all the reality shows and whatever. He's been there for a long ass time. He posted a picture of a garbage bag that said Mickey on it. And I believe he got fired or suspended or something.
No. He didn't post it. No. What, she posted it to Instagram. When she got it in the mail, she opened the box, a trash bag with Mickey on it, and all of her stuff. Like that they had. And whoever was responsible for sending that, according to Triple H, has been fired. But like a lot of the
I heard on Cultaholic that it was Mark Carano.
And that could be. Nobody, like Triple H just said, the person responsible for it was fired, was released. That's
also
because after that story came out, other people started coming out saying, "Yeah, that's how I got my stuff." That's how they've done it for years, I think. But if it's Mark Carano, that's just funny because that dude's a little fucking weasel. At least from finding Total Divas or whatever, Total Bellas, or every time I saw him on screen, I'm like, that guy's just a weasel. You know.
Also, I would like to state, Mickey James went back to WWE to basically retire and end her career and not be full-time anymore. She had a very strong, healthy career in TNA at the time, Impact now. She was their Knockouts champion. She did not have to go back to WWE. She was doing just fine for herself. She chose to go back when they offered her the position. They did not have to do her this way. And also, keep in mind, her husband is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Nick Aldis. This woman has children, and her husband is a fellow wrestler who is currently not wrestling. You did not have to put her out of work. You could have found anything. This woman could wrestle a trash bag, and she would be fine. But you chose to let her go again.
Yeah. And when I said flippantly, Mickey James fine, to me it makes sense. She hasn't been used on TV at all during most of this pandemic that I can think of. Maybe a few spots here and there, but not much.
Yeah.
Might have been one that, had said, hey, pandemic stuff, I don't want to put family at risk, so I'm not saying she is. I'm just spitballing, which would make sense to me. She's got two young children that, you're right, one. But she has I think 7-year-old, 6-7-year-old, maybe bigger than that. But, might not want to put them at risk by her going doing shows all the time and everything like that. But at the same point, it made sense to me at the point because she wasn't being used. Could it have been handled in a better way? Sure. Not in just a mass, hey, let go. Maybe call her and say, hey, would you be interested in being a trainer? Hey, we don't have anything for you creatively. What do you want to do? Give her the respect, because to me, yes, she's a Hall of Famer. She should be in probably the next class. But now with this, probably not going to happen.
Going back. I don't think she's going to take the Hall of Fame.
Not unless, not for probably 10 years.
Not unless Trish and Lita both basically beg her to go for Hall of Fame. I don't think she'll do it. I think they'll offer it to her, but I don't think she'll accept it. I think she'll be along the same lines as Gail Kim and say, nope, screw you, never coming back.
So who's the other one?
And Chrissy Hemme. Chrissy Hemme did the same thing. Gail Kim and Chrissy Hemme left, and they never looked back, and they both had crazy careers.
Oh yeah.
The other person I wanted to touch on outside of Kalisto and the ones I already talked about was no, she's not in the Hall of Fame fandom. Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green is, if you've ever watched Impact TNA before,
And I'm with you. Talk. I'm listening.
Yeah. She can put on a hell of a character. They let her go literally almost a month to the day of her recovery, like basically being almost cleared to wrestle again after breaking her arm in a match. She broke her arm in a match, and they let her go a month after recovering. Her likelihood of going back to Impact TNA is high because she's already put out a tweet of her former character, which was called Hot Mess. But I can see her going back and forth. Scary Sherry would take them all on. Hi, main event. Thanks for joining. I mean, different generation completely. I think these women now are very different in their wrestling abilities. But Chelsea Green is one of those people that when she was on Impact, even when she was on the All In show, that before AEW was a thing that they put together.
Oh yeah, her Hot Mess character was good.
Her Hot Mess character is great. The girl can wrestle. The girl is probably one of the best wrestlers I have seen, technically speaking.
I want to see her versus Britt Baker. That would be a good.
They are best friends.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Her, Britt Baker, and Gianna Prazo are best friends, and so that's why I said I see her going to. The only reason I'm saying I see her going back to Impact is her long-standing career there and her character there. But also, Zack Ryder is there, and she is married to, or she will be married to Zack Ryder.
Is he officially with Impact now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He
has one of the
AEW. Yeah, like a
one-off. He has one of those contracts that he can go technically anywhere he wants. He's signed to Impact as his home brand, but if New Japan wanted him or if AEW wanted him, he can definitely go back and forth. He has the relationship with Cody Rhodes. They're pretty tight friends.
I still remember because it was also a year to a day that her fiance got fired from WWE because it was April 15th of 2020 when they did the mass release. There was like 30 or 40 people, but Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder was one of them. And I remember like a tweet like the next day to Cody Rhodes, Zack Ryder or Matt Cardona to AEW, and Cody Rhodes just put no thanks, and like just left it no thanks, and then Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona comes on, bro, just a hands up, bro. Like that was funny. So I assumed he would come to AEW, but I think he came, and I think Impact probably offered him more.
They have. AEW has the relationship with Impact that they
now they do, but back like 6 months ago
they did before. Don't get it twisted. They did before. Tony Khan came out and put out and he said in an interview that even before they got started, they always said they were willing to work with Impact, with New Japan, with everyone. Impact was the only company that didn't give them a hell no at the beginning.
Gotcha.
Impact, I mean, they have their own kind of issues that they've been dealing with, but they are the only ones that said, yeah, sure, we'll work with you. Them and I think AAA were the only two companies that said, yep, we're willing to, do whatever we have to do to help you guys out if you can help us. And I think the reason for Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder, however you know him, for going to Impact instead of AEW is for the possibility between him and Hawkins. There was the storyline there. Brian Myers.
Yeah.
They had the built-in storyline, and Myers was already on Impact, so it made more sense. They had a built-in storyline for him.
No, agreed.
But I can see Chelsea going literally both places. I can see her going anywhere at this point. And I can't wait till July to see where the 4 women of this group end up, because I wouldn't be surprised seeing Mickie James show up on NWA because Nick Aldis is there.
Yeah, I can see her going there, like you said.
And then she can also work with AEW because NWA has that relationship as well. And Thunder Rosa has already come out and said, I want to fight Mickie James. And Thunder Rosa currently is NWA.
Yeah. So that'll be a good match. And, so there's, a lot of interesting stuff going on. One other thing we didn't touch on, though, with the whole WrestleMania weekend.
Yep.
One of my favorite parts of it, the Hall of Fame. So they did the 2020
I didn't
and
like
2020. I didn't mind it as much because the one guy I wanted to listen to, they gave the most time to, which was like, yay. So I was happy with that. But yeah, so we're not going to run through all of them. I skipped a lot of the 2020 ones because I could not give a shit less about most of them. Like I know the Bellas was in that, JBL was on that one. Trying to think, there were a couple others, but they
NWA.
really only have
NWO,
which I did watch that one. And the only reason they put the NWO in, no, I take that back. NWO should have gone in. Sean Waltman should not have gone in with the NWO.
No.
Just shouldn't have. He was the seventh, or he was the sixth member of NWO. That was hence his name, Six.
Yeah.
He was the sixth member. And so, no. If anything, the Giant should have gone in because he was the fourth member of NWO. But anyway, Paul White, but he was already in AEW by that point. They did give Kane, they gave everybody about 5 minutes to talk, which I actually kind of appreciated because a lot of these times they go long-winded and stuff, and it's especially the lower card people. Like the Bellas probably could have, should have gotten 20 minutes. JBL probably should have gotten 20 minutes. Kane should have gotten 30 minutes, in my opinion. He is the largest of both classes, even above the NWO. Well, no, that's not fair.
No.
NWO should have 30 minutes.
They're about equal.
No, NWO changed the entire business.
But I think Kane's longevity. I think Kane, second to The Undertaker, has the most longevity and the most character storyline ever.
Yes. And I agree. He has the best he has the best character of any, even above The Undertaker, because he came in with a full-fledged backstory and motivation. I think
the only thing that makes Undertaker top him is just that he did it for longer. That's the only thing that really tops him.
Fair.
The longevity wise of the character.
Undertaker was a better overall thing, but character for character's sake and storyline wise, Kane had the better story than the Undertaker.
Yes.
That's what I'm going with. But yeah, no, agreed. But yeah, NWO, but they changed the industry. Once the NWO hit, they changed the industry. So fine. Give them a half an hour. King gets half an hour. Bellas and JBL get 20 minutes. And I can't even remember who else was in there.
Titus and somebody won the Warrior Award. He works in the office.
Titus, fine. The guy who won in the office, I agree with, because that's what the Warrior Award was originally supposed to be. It's for the backstage people who made a difference. He's the second one from the backstage.
No, it's not supposed to be a backstage award. It's not.
Yeah.
No.
It's supposed to be, yes.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's supposed to be for your charitable efforts.
No.
Yes, no. Look it up. Look it up.
Look up what Warrior said. No, when Warrior got inducted, he's like, we need to honor the people backstage and put this show on and do all this.
I understand, but they turned it into a charitable award.
Which was bullshit.
His wife made the decision. She made the decision. She's the one that decides who's getting the award.
She can get on camera once a year and cry.
That's fine, but it was his wife's call what that award stood for, and it stood for
but I'm just saying what he had asked for. It's only been given twice. It was the seamstress, I believe, or not seamstress. I forget.
What do you mean?
There was a woman about 3 years, like she was like the third winner of it.
No.
He works back. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Looking it up right now. Look it up right now, because I know all the winners.
Connor the Crusher.
Yeah.
There was another cancer patient kid who started a charity. She might have been the fourth winner of it. But there was a woman who worked. She was like the travel agent or whatever.
Joan London?
No, that's a cancer.
There's four recipients of it.
Okay, okay, who
Well,
are they?
five now with the guy that just got inducted this year.
Okay.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
Connor
yeah,
Mahalik,
yeah.
Eric LeGrand. They were
Okay.
both cancer patients,
Uh-huh.
young cancer patients. Joan London, who was also a cancer patient, breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
Titus O'Neil, and this guy. That's it.
Okay. Because there was then I don't know. Okay, then it wasn't the Warrior Award thing. So this was the first guy to get the actual award that was meant for. But that Warrior wanted it for. But there was another woman that was award like she was honored or something at one of the I like she was a backstage person. It wasn't Joan London. Joan London is a news anchor and everything like that. So anyway, speaking of things,
Read what TGP just wrote.
never mind, not go from there. Anyway,
All right.
but yeah,
Anyway,
so the Hall of Fame, I didn't mind the way they did it this year.
I
I
did
understood
not like it.
they had to get both in.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it because they didn't have a crowd to talk to, and they
I agree.
recycled Thunderdome. They could have
Yeah,
just had the roster sitting there in chairs who were already cleared, and it would have meant more to me. Seeing JBL go, and I don't even like JBL, but seeing JBL go in and not having Ron Simmons in the crowd, and
and not having
seeing
go ahead.
RVD go in without having Tommy Dreamer and the Dudley Boys in the crowd or
Mhm.
Paul Heyman in the crowd, or Sabu, but I don't think they would have had him there. Seeing the Bellas go in without seeing
Holly.
Molly Holly go in
Again,
without the women, seeing the
yeah,
Bellas go in without John Laurinaitis and their
without
mom and the rest of the women's roster, seeing NWO go in without Shawn Michaels and Triple H there was stupid.
well, with that,
It
yeah,
didn't make sense.
I get
You
and I
could have
agree with you.
had the roster there.
Yeah, I mean they had everybody dressed up for the interviews. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you saw the interviews in the in between. They're all dressed up in their Hall of Fame attire and everything, doing interviews. But yeah, why not have them sit out there? And I agree with you on that. The presentation was very lacking.
Yes.
The speeches were fine because again a lot of them were short. And Glenn Jacobs did like make a great point. He's like here's things. Brevity is the whatever, and like he called it. I was like, I'm not gonna go long, and he went the longest, but he was allowed to. He deserved it. But I wanted him. One thing I wanted Glenn Jacobs Kane to say is like, you know, people tend to go long in these things. I know I had to pull Mr. T off of here, so I'm not going to talk about my mama for 10 minutes. Just make that joke.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to make fun of another Hall of Famer and everything. And Glenn is a very honorable guy. He's not going to do that kind of stuff. But it was, for what they had to deal with, it was fine. That's the key term for this entire WrestleMania review.
It was fine.
It was fine.
It was
Will
fine.
it be memorable? No.
The only thing I wish, honestly, I could take or leave everything else. The only thing I wish was that the Hall of Fame got to be the Hall of Fame and got to get recognized. You could have waited another year then. You could have taped it at some other time and put it out after. I don't care what you did, but at least let those people have the recognition of their coworkers and their friends. And you didn't have to have the fans there, but at least have the people that meant something to them, especially putting in British Bulldog and not having the crowd there.
Yeah.
Not having Bret Hart there, not having Natty there, not having the Hart family there. It was like they deserve, all of these people, dead, alive, whatever, they did something that changed something in this industry. They should have been able to get the recognition they deserved. Didn't matter who it was, whether I liked them or not. They put in the work and they deserved better.
I do agree with you on that. I genuinely do, and it's one that I wish could be different. But
Good night, fandom.
Good night, fandom. For what it was good. I do think there are a couple people that should have been in this year that are not going to get in for another 10 to 15 years now, which sucks.
Who do you
Paul
think?
White should be in. Christian should be in.
Yeah.
Just personally,
Yeah.
both of them, but because they were told, hey, we got nothing for you, and they just let
Christian was we have nothing for you. Big Show felt disrespected.
Yeah.
Big Show felt like, after everything I've done for you guys, you treat me like crap on screen.
Yeah. And then I come in and I don't get a, hey, would you be interested in this, or and nothing. I get
they canceled his Netflix show without even telling him.
Yeah. And so it's both of them deserve to be in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately now, the Chris Jericho Stone Cold podcast shows that
Vince got pissed about that.
Really? I didn't hear about that one.
Super mad. I was watching, I know it was on Cultaholic, and I think Wrestle Talks did something on it, or was it What Culture? I can't remember.
Probably because I didn't hear anything from Wrestle Talk about
it. They were talking about how it came out, I think maybe through Meltzer or Sean Ross Sapp.
Mm-hmm.
Not Ryan Satin, because he's on WWE. It was one of the other ones. It came out that Vince was pissed off because he thought it was going to go one way. And yes, he trusted Jericho. Jericho was the only person that he would have let do it. But he thought it was going to go one way, and it ended up that week NXT did 1.7 million viewers. Not NXT, sorry, AEW did 1.7 million viewers, which topped pretty much all of their shows that week. And he was pissed because you know how Vince is, he's salty.
Yeah. Well, and also though, he didn't put NXT up against it. So he was expecting, all the AEW watchers to come over on Tuesday night and watch NXT. Now we're splitting it up. Now you can watch both. Here's the thing. I don't care about NXT. You've done nothing as WWE, not as NXT. NXT has tried, and they're not a bad company. But WWE has done nothing to make me want to watch NXT, to be invested, or to really even give it a shot as the casual viewer.
Here's the thing for me. The thing for me is Vince freaks out about AEW doing better numbers than NXT. But he treats NXT like complete garbage. You call up these people and then you screw them. Ricochet, Aleister Black, Neville.
The best examples you have is Kevin Owens,
Sami Zayn.
Not even Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn has never held a championship apart from Intercontinental. He's never been a world champion.
He was the NXT champion.
I'm talking on main roster.
Oh, okay, yes.
Main roster. Like, you call main roster NXT guys. You have Rollins, who was really not even NXT. He was FCW and like the very first part of NXT, but not really. Yeah. And then you have, Kevin Owens.
If you're including them, you have Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns. You have.
But Roman Reigns was never a big thing in NXT. Like he was on
but he came from NXT. So if we're including Rollins, we have to include Ambrose and Reigns.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about are guys that were over in NXT, like had a following in NXT, and then got called up. So like Ambrose really never had much on NXT. Reigns really, he had a bit. They were more FCW guys. Rollins was the first NXT champion.
Yes.
And then, so you had that. But then, you call Rollins up. Rollins champion. There you go. Reigns, Ambrose, fine. Then the next NXT champion, Big E, is called up. Doesn't get shit. Then the next NXT champion, Bo Dallas.
No. The next call up was Finn and then Bo. Finn went up before Bo.
But I'm talking about champion. Finn wasn't champion before Bo Dallas.
Yes. No. I'm saying Finn was the next call up that they called up to the main roster, and he got the WWE Championship pretty much almost right away. Bo came up after him, but Bo was
after, but I'm talking about the progression of the NXT. I'm going to NXT title, like NXT champion. Bo Dallas was like the third or fourth champion. He was champion before Finn Balor was of NXT. I kind of know my shit, at least early NXT. So he gets called up. Bo Dallas gets called up, and he's a joke. He's just nothing. Finn Balor does get called up. He does get a world championship. Okay, so you got two of the four right now. Big E wasn't treated like shit. He just and he had to work with New Day to become what they are.
Yeah, and it took him a couple years because at first he was paired with Ziggler and AJ.
Yes, exactly. And it was a good run. He became Intercontinental Champion fairly quickly off of that, which is fine. Not poo-pooing that. But then, fast forward a little bit. Then you get Kevin Owens gets called up. And Kevin Owens comes up, and another world champion. Boom. Sami Zayn comes up. Actually, before Owens, I think. Zayn went up before
Owens went up, then Zayn. Because Zayn was champion. Zayn was the NXT champion after Owens left.
Okay, that's what it was. And
he was before, and then he was after.
Owens was mad. Like the whole story was Owens was mad that Zayn got picked by NXT and he didn't. So that was the story.
Yeah.
So, but Owens comes up, fine. After that, there's not much for top guys from NXT coming up and being treated well. Like I said, Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. They weren't made jokes.
Andrade.
Ricochet is, a perfect example. One of the best fucking wrestlers in the goddamn world, and made to look like absolute, not garbage because he still performs, but
I would say the worst treatment so far that I've seen of a NXT champion going to main roster is between three people, and one wasn't the champion, but he was in the title hunt. Aleister Black.
Yeah.
Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Andrade. The three of them were, with the exception of Ricochet, he wasn't an NXT champion, but he was in contention for the championship quite a few times. But
Ricochet had the Samoa Joe outside, he was the known name coming in. Yep. Aleister Black wasn't a super known even casual. He wasn't a known. And who's the other one? You said
Andrade. Andrade was, but more in Mexico.
Yeah. So to the North American audience.
So here's what Meltzer came out and said. I think it was Meltzer. It could have been. It could have been Fightful. Yeah. One or the other came out and said Vince's problem is Vince brings in guys from Mexico, from Puerto Rico, from wherever, trying to recreate Eddie Guerrero, and he cannot. If they don't fit that mold, he has nothing for them. But you're never going to recreate Eddie Guerrero ever. And the closest thing you have is Rey. And yet you're not using Rey the way that you should use Rey because you keep putting him in stupid storylines.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's to the point though, but not even talking about that, we didn't even go tag teams. You bring up Heavy Machinery, who, were a fun, they were a comedy team even in NXT, but you couldn't even capitalize on the comedy side that they had. You did for a little bit, but not really. You had fucking, who's the team I'm thinking of? Shit. Viking Raiders. No, Viking Raiders. You bring the Viking Raiders up. We're going to have the Viking experience. Fuck you. Sorry. Why even change it? It's a badass name. It's marketable. Why even fucking change it?
Vince doesn't understand it.
Yeah,
or
I know.
To better explain it, because Kevin Dunn doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
He didn't understand Becky Lynch.
Yeah. It took her 4 years to become champion on the main roster when, she should have been well above Charlotte. But same reason with Finn Balor. They gave Finn Balor the championship, but even after he got hurt and came back, it was like, no, we're not going to push you. They gave him a shot. He became injury prone, and that's That's his level.
the only thing that the people from NXT have going for them is the backing of Triple H and Shawn Michaels, because literally they fight tooth and nail for these people. And half the time they get overlooked. This is Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and their opinions get overlooked because Vince and Kevin Dunn don't understand somebody.
Exactly.
But you're talking about two of probably there's quite a few, but two of probably, I would say, the best minds for the wrestling business in Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and you're not listening to them because you think you know better.
Yeah.
But they were trained by Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's it's one of those it's perfect example is this past previous Monday Night Raw. I don't think this week. I think it might have been this week or the week before. No, the week before was WrestleMania, so it was this week. Vince didn't show up to Raw till like an hour and a half before the show
and scrapped the entire show.
Rewrote everything.
Yep.
You know what it was? It was one of the lowest rated Raws in the last 4 months.
And that's why he was pissed about the ratings from AEW.
Yeah. And he doesn't get that, hey, you're kind of, because Vince just lives in his bubble. Lives in his WWE bubble, this is funny, that's good shit. That bubble, that's it. And it's just time, dude. I mean, I love you. This is me talking straight to Vince McMahon. You'll never see this, but fuck it. I love you, man. You did a great job. You gave billions of people entertainment for years. Step down. Let somebody else take the reins and run the show. You can keep your name on it. You can pop in. You can give your 2 cents. Just stop. If you want to succeed and you want to see your business continue to grow, you can't do it. And I just can't say that any more clearer. And as a guy who knows nothing about the business, apart from a fan watching and, a smark, for a better term, it's one that it just needs to happen. Triple H needs to be in charge. Keep Stephanie the fuck away from it. Let her do the feel good. Let her do the PR, the proud moments. And
I actually don't think Stephanie without Vince is that bad. It's Stephanie when Vince is there.
Yes, well, man, Stephanie has that very, it's not out of touch.
But I think if Stephanie was around Shane and Hunter and Shawn Michaels, Stephanie would be fine.
It's not the business side of her. Like the business side with her, she was a head writer of SmackDown when it was one of the top storylines.
Yeah.
So her story and her running the show is fine.
Yeah.
It's her with the corporate background stuff that irks me, because they do the feel good, touching moments. We're gonna work with this cancer. We're gonna work with this cancer group that's actually a bullshit fucking piece of crap organization, but they're pink and they look good, so we're gonna make that our October. When there's so many better organizations, I'm not gonna get into that, but just saying.
Yeah, but that's not even her. That's like corporate.
That's what I'm saying. But she's the one that runs that. She's the one that runs that.
Yeah, but I think if they didn't pick that, I know which one you're talking about. If they didn't pick that specific charity and they went with another charity,
I know,
it would kind of look like, whatever. I think that's more, all right, we're in this landscape where everybody supports this one thing and all these people think it's a good thing, so we should support it too.
And that's what I'm saying. She is disingenuous is the wrong term, but it's the right mindset I'm leaning towards for her corporate mentality of guiding the public in this, new era of kind of mentality. And that's my only issue with Stephanie. Show-wise, she's fantastic. I would love if she was creative on the creative side. She's not. She's on the corporate side, and I don't like her because it just feels disingenuous from the stuff that company puts out under her watch. Is the best way I can put it.
I think I can't even say it's under her watch because she has to answer to a board of directors because they're a public company now. So I can't even fully blame her.
I don't. fully blame her, but the buck stops with her because
it does. The buck does stop with her, but I think if given the if we're not talking corporate side of it, the two children, Shane and Stephanie, with Hunter and Shawn Michaels,
and I'm listening.
That's a program that I want to watch. They have the minds for it. They have the ability to do it. You see it on NXT. You see that Shane understands the wrestlers, and you know that Stephanie can write.
Yes. And yeah, Triple H can manage the wrestlers. Shane can manage the corporate side of it because he's ran, corporate companies and made successful companies on that. And yeah, Stephanie put her in charge of the writing and in charge of the creative.
Mm-hmm.
And you could, with influences from Shawn, with influences from Hunter, for the creative side of it, and you could run a fantastic company that could blow almost anyone out of the water. But unfortunately, those four people have to answer to one megalomaniac who doesn't, who still thinks, androgynous things are funny, and I mean, I don't know. I'm just,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can't even think of like the worst examples, but like, fat girl fall down is funny, and that's
underlying racism.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay. This is okay. Perfect example. The Apollo Crews storyline.
Yep.
I get it. He's going back to his roots. He's trying to do that, and that's great. And I haven't been watching. Really, the only thing I saw of it was a couple of the interviews, building up to it, and then the match itself, and everything like that. But it's like, who was that Apollo's idea to maybe make this change and do that? If it was, great. But if it was Vince's, thinking it's
it's not racist. So what it was is Apollo's actually of Nigerian descent. I don't know if he's an actual prince. I believe he's actually from Nigeria, though.
Okay.
So it's the opposite of Kofi Kingston. Remember when Kofi was Jamaican?
Well, that's what I said during the match.
Yeah,
when
you did.
I said so they reversed Kofi then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because Kofi's from Ghana, West Africa.
Yeah.
He's born there, but raised in Boston and everything. Mm-hmm. I don't know Apollo Crews' history or.
I believe he was born. I could be mistaken. I believe he was born and raised there. Went to university here, or went to high school and university not here, but in the States, in North America.
Yeah.
But I believe this is something that has historical ties to himself and not just a character.
And so like, so I'm not saying it's a racist thing, but it's like Vince being.
There's underlying racist tones to it.
Yeah, like a Nigerian drum fight. And again, I don't know anything about Nigerian history or history. If that's a thing, then okay, by all means, I apologize. But to me, as a white guy from the Midwest that has no knowledge of it, coming from Vince McMahon, who's had a history of racist shit in the past, it seems like I'm going to find something that can kind of tie into this. Oh, a drum fight. Let's go for a drum fight. Oh, God, that's good shit.
There was also the New Day when they first debuted. They were debuting when they came together. It was as preachers who were supposed to be heels.
And they kind of kept it was the power of positivity, and it built over time. They morphed it. It did start as the preacher thing, which they kind of kept it. He still does the preacher intro.
But they created and made it their own and put their own spin on it. When they first debuted, I was like, oh my God, this is terrible.
And okay, so I'm going to answer Jake here. Yeah. Wrestling was better when it was made for kids.
It was never made for kids.
It's always been made for kids. That's the key. That is the big key. It was made for kids in Vince's mind in the 80s, in the 90s.
In Vince's mind. Yes.
The only time it really wasn't that Vince took his step away was in the Attitude Era, when he realized, okay, there's money in that 18 to 34 demographic. and WWE was killing them in that demographic. WWE was still, when the 83 weeks, WWE still had all the kid, like my demographic at the time, because I was 13, 14. I was watching WCW. I started on that, but that was because I was right in that just early the teenage years thing.
Yeah.
But my little brother and sisters, they were watching the WWE. They were watching the Undertaker and the Gobbledygooker and the Trash Man and the Goon and all that. So it was always made for kids. And then once the Attitude Era rolled off, then you had Ruthless Aggression, which was kind of the downturn. It was still a little up there in age.
I don't think it was made for kids. What I think it was made for, the theory that Vince goes off of, is that 70s, 80s, early 80s, late 60s, 70s, early 80s mentality, where if you watch a late night talk show from back then, watch Johnny Carson or anything like that, that's how it was. It was never, it was always kind of like too much.
Yeah, it was always his mindset was, I could take my grandma and my 5-year-old to this show, and they're both going to enjoy it. And that's been Vince's mentality. He stepped back because he saw the money in the Attitude Era, but then when we got back to the PG era, that's what we got back to. The only difference was they kept the stuff from the Attitude Era of the realistic names, and they didn't have the characters like they had the Garbage Man, the Gobbledygooker, and all that shit.
Yeah.
In the PG era, but it's always been made for kids.
I don't think it was necessarily made for kids. I just think when Vince learned all of this, it was just a different time period where things were, it was taboo to talk about sex. It was taboo to talk about these things. So yes, kids could watch it, but there was always kind of underlying things where, the adults would get it too. But that's also, you can't really blame Vince for that. Yes, you can blame him for that now, but it wasn't necessarily made for kids. What it was that was the standard of the time. In those times, you didn't have outright sexual, things. It just wasn't on television.
No, and the problem is Vince started having grandkids.
Yeah.
Like really the issue that came down, and we are talking just straight WWE now. AEW has the adult male mentality as a writing block. New Japan has the adult male, mentality.
No, New Japan is different. So New Japan, if you watch a New Japan show, there is women, men, children, everyone goes there. It's just a different culture. Also, they don't have females on the show, so there's nothing outright sexual on it.
And I'm not saying men. I'm saying because let's be honest, men, the 18 to 34 male demographic is the most spending one. That's the ideal ratings one because that's the demographic that's going to spend the most money on advertisement and everything like that. So those are the idealistic, people you're grabbing for. And New Japan probably not so much, but AEW, they're definitely going for that demographic. But they're not going the overtly sexualized. They're not going Attitude Era. They're going with the Ring of Honor style mentality. Just we're going to put on good wrestling matches with good-looking people and entertain. But we're not going to hold back swear words. We're not going to hold back the blood. We're not going to, we're going to give you the violence that you want with a storyline in tow. Vince, however, started having grandkids probably about 15, 16 years ago. Maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more. But
Shane's oldest son is 17.
Okay, so 17 years ago. There you go. And that's probably 2004. So 2004 was still Ruthless Aggression, but 2007, 2008 was the start of like the beginning of the PG era. So right when the kid was 4 or 5 years old, and this is like, okay, I can't really let my grandson see this shit. So we gotta make it more family friendly, and so it's coming back to that.
But he also still leans to that overtly Attitude Era kind of thing. Like, look at Mandy Rose, for example. Mandy Rose can go in the ring.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. Mandy Rose can go in the ring. But Mandy Rose came on because Mandy Rose is Vince's ideal of sexy.
Yeah. She's Trish Stratus that can talk and that can go, and you know what? She's probably cheap. Not in the sense she's cheap to keep hold of because she's a younger, person trying to get into the business and everything.
She wasn't in the business previous to WWE.
Apart from being a fitness model, she was a
Yes.
fitness model.
Yeah.
But that was it. So, but this can give her exposure, and he can get her for a discounted price. That's the term I should use: a discounted price. She's not cheap, a discounted price. And now she probably is making more money. She's definitely making more money than she was when she started. But at the same point, he's gonna find that, and he's gonna use it. Or Alexa Bliss is another one. She's the perfect example because she can talk, she can sell, she can do everything. And lately, yeah, she can't work, but she's still on every fucking show. Yeah. She's been a staple of.
I don't disagree with you. I just think in the sense that Vince is definitely outdated. Vince still lives in the early 90s, from the late 60s to early 90s bubble. He does not understand that the newer style of what is popular in wrestling. That's why the shows are not getting the views. That's why people are tuning into other programming. That's why people, and I know that Fightful, I know that Cultaholic, there have been people on these shows that even on, oh my God, what is the podcast with Dreamer, Mark Henry?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know.
You know which one I'm talking about, but I can't think of the name. Oh. Dave LaGreca, the main guy on there, he gets shit all the time for being an AEW mark. People call him out on it all the time. But the truth is, if you look at AEW's product that they put out, it might not always be, of the same production value as WWE. But this is a 3-year-old company.
It's and remember this too, WWE is not a wrestling company.
No.
They're an entertainment company.
Yeah.
So they rely heavily on their production values and everything to make them stand apart. So they get that's the great thing. I'm sorry, go. I'll let you finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, they get these bloggers and whatever, they get shit for calling AEW what it is, but in truth, AEW delivers a better product. They just do not have the production value that WWE has. If you watch the major indie shows that are out there, if you watch, Ring of Honor, if you watch PWG, which I don't think they put out shows anymore. Currently, a lot of the indie stuff is off right now because they can't go. But if you watch these, they put out really good product without a lot of backing. The same way when you were young and when I was young, ECW did. And ECW was the biggest thing that ever happened in the Attitude Era. Everyone loved ECW. I still love ECW, don't get me wrong. But ECW was ahead of its time in the sense that they did it before all these other companies caught on and said, we don't have to go to WWE. We can do this by ourselves. And that's when you saw the emergence of Ring of Honor, Impact or TNA, New Japan. Because, New Japan always existed. But I mean, in its current iteration.
Impact and Ring of Honor really came from the void of ECW and WCW.
Yes.
The competition. WCW, to me, still, as goofy and as stupid as it fucking was, it was good. It's what drew me in. And going back to Jake's other point, wrestling games, I was going to get to that, and we kind of got off track. Wrestling games, I do not play any wrestling games lately because all of them recently suck, especially if you watch highlights of the last few 2K WWE games. They've been atrocious.
Yeah, I think the last one I have is 2019, 2K19, and I've seen the 2K20, and it's abysmal. I can't do it.
And I think the last one I played was probably 15. But I got out of gaming for a while. I got out of hardcore gaming. But the game that actually got me into watching wrestling, then I will say this, WCW versus NWO World Tour on the N64. A buddy of mine had the game, and I watched wrestling as a kid, like on Sunday mornings. I'd come home from church, and it's on Hulk Hogan and Warrior and Savage and all that. I'm like, okay, cool. But WCW versus NWO World Tour, my buddy had that. I started playing it. I started playing as Ultimo Dragon on there and the Ninja and fighting the NWO and everything. So this was after the NWO initiation, right before Goldberg came onto the scene. I think the first episode I watched of Nitro was his match against Hugh Morris, which was Goldberg's first match where he comes in and fucking smashes him. I think that was the
How
very
old
first.
were you?
I'm 36. I was.
No, how old were you?
That's what I'm trying to think. This is probably late '97, so probably the fall of '97.
Okay, I've been watching wrestling longer than you.
You've been watching wrestling more than me.
No, longer.
No,
I started watching wrestling in like '92.
I understand this. What I'm saying, I watched it in like '88 and everything. I watched it, but I didn't follow it because I didn't have cable, especially in like I watched the Sunday morning stuff, the syndicated shows.
Trav is apparently talking about cuddling you at con in a king size bed.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's on.
Where's he talking? Where are they talking?
I'm assuming it's on Tony's channel.
Probably on Tony's stream, yeah.
Probably.
Yep, that sounds about right. But yeah, it's being. I mean, I've watched it and I painted my face in 1991 like Ultimate Warrior and did all that shit. But I wasn't a huge into it like deep dive. But then WCW NWO World Tour, I started playing it. I'm like, fuck, I love this. Is a great game. Let me see what this is actually about. Went to my grandpa's, watched Nitro, and I think I saw the debut of Goldberg, and it was fucking phenomenal. And it hooked me, and I started just going back and watching everything I could get my hands on, and all of that. So to me, that game, WCW NWO Revenge, and WWE RF No Mercy are three of the best wrestling games in history. The other one that I really love is SmackDown versus Raw 06-07 because it's up, down, down, but I love the general manager mode. Like going and booking the entire show, like all the way through to be the best show you can do. I love that just from the backstage perspective of, okay, let's do this.
I was never into the wrestling games. My games of choice were always they weren't wrestling games. I loved The Sims. I loved Pac-Man. I loved Mario. Anything Mario, give me Mario, and I'm a happy girl. I liked what was that game? There was another game. I can't remember it now. I loved I loved Sonic. Those were my type of games. So I was never the only modern game that I can say I was decent at, but I haven't played it in years, was like Grand Theft Auto. Like I think it was whatever came out before Vice City when they were just numbers. I think it was
number 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3, but I wasn't sure if it was 3. That was the last one I played successfully.
That's one of the I've played every single one of those games all the way through.
That was the last game I played successfully. High Major. But I haven't. I mean, you know this. I have games suggested to me from JD that I've been trying to play since the beginning of the pandemic, which I cannot figure out. They drive me up a wall. I'm more of a Nintendo person than I am PlayStation, but I don't have Nintendo, so there's that.
And the thing, I have a Zelda tattoo on my arm, and I haven't played a Zelda game since I didn't play Skyward Sword. What was the one before Skyward Sword? Wind Waker, and then there was one between the two. I'm pretty sure. Twilight Princess. I played Twilight Princess, but that's the last one. And yeah, I'm a Nintendo guy, born and bred on it. But yeah, I have PlayStation, and I mean, I played the Assassin's Creed games.
I love the Assassin's Creed games. I just can't figure them out. Like it's too hard for me. Like I need 3 buttons. Give me 3 buttons, and I'll be good.
I can do all that. And like I play Call of Duty, or I have the not the newest one, but the one before Modern Warfare. I have Modern Warfare. I enjoy those games. It's first person games I can just sit down and just blast the shit out of whatever, play online, do that. That's more my style now, just because I don't have time to play and because I feel bad. I have a 4-year-old running around. I just can't just sit there and play and do all that. I wish I could, but
DA says I've been watching wrestling longer than both of you, so you both lost.
Because
I mean, I remember like 92. I was like 3. Like I remember.
I can't say I remember that, but I've seen that video of that Abdul Steiner's electrocuting Abdul the Butcher. That was before me, and yeah, WCW definitely wasn't a thing around my area before like 95.
WCW used to come to Toronto more than WWF at the time. So my dad used to get us tickets to go watch all the time, which I used to go and we used to watch it because that's who got me into wrestling. Because
St. Louis was definitely St. Louis it's a weird one. We're more of a southern city, but we had more like wrestling wise because we had wrestling in the Chase, and there's a fucking name of the local promoter. But like Harley Race is a big, is a big name from St. Louis or from the area, and
not Cowboy Bob.
Harley Race is a bigger name than Cowboy Bob.
I'm just making a joke.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm like, yeah, Harley Race is him and Lou Thesz is from St. Louis too. Again, a WWE North America, northern guy. So we got more of the WWE stuff when I was growing up. We didn't really, again, have WCW until we got cable. It wasn't on syndication. So, and they didn't come here. Like they didn't come to St. Louis until 97, 98. I still remember there was 1 month, I think it was October. I didn't get to go to either show, and it pissed me off. No, it wasn't October. It was the night after Owen Hart's death.
Right. You told me about this.
Yeah, he died in Kansas City. I had tickets to that show on Monday night. I couldn't go. So I stayed home and watched the show, and I was pissed because I was young and dumb and didn't realize it. And I hated Owen Hart because I was supposed to hate Owen Hart at the time because he was a heel. And I didn't like it. It was Blue Blazer, but I'm like, hey, he was still a piece of shit heel, whatever, kind of guy. And so when he died, it just didn't process with me. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Yeah. But dedicating a whole show to him, what the hell? That doesn't make sense to me. He's a heel. He's a bad guy. And it bothered me. But like 3 weeks later, WCW was in town, and I still couldn't go to the fucking show. I'm like, I've never been to a live show. Never once been to a live show.
I remember as a kid going to shows, but I don't remember anything significant happening at any of them. They were all house shows, so none of it ever mattered at the end of the day. I know we went to a couple WWF at the time shows and then WWE when it first switched to E, but I remember going to WCW shows, and I remember when we were kids, we used to have, remember the like pillow wrestlers they were like pillows, but they were wrestlers. We all used to have them. Like I used to wrestle with them. Like this was my childhood.
I had the Hulk Hogan. My buddy had the Macho Man.
I had Hulk Hogan, but I hate Hulk Hogan, so I used to just beat him up all the time because I was a Ric Flair girl. I love Ric Flair even as a child, and Roddy Piper. Ric Flair and Roddy Piper. I was actually a
Warrior kid. Like I was an Ultimate Warrior fan. Which, looking back at it, I'm like, God, I probably should have gone with Hogan. I mean, as much of a piece of shit Hogan is, he's still better than what.
No, for me, it was always. I always liked the bad guy. I always liked the bad guy. Even as a kid, I liked the bad guy. I liked Flair. I liked Roddy Piper.
I liked Roddy Piper. I liked Jake the Snake was my guy. Like I
was scared of Jake the Snake because I was scared of the snake.
Snake.
So that was kind of what?
Got a snake today.
You got a snake?
Caught a snake.
Oh, I thought you said you got a snake. I was like, what?
Well, technically, I have a snake in my backyard because I'm not an asshole and I don't kill things if I have to. So I pick him up, took him home, and threw him in my backyard. He'll find his way to the creek.
Oh God, no! No, they terrified
me. It was literally a gardener snake about that.
I think it's because I'm in Canada and it's cold here, so they don't really choose to live here, so I don't have them in my backyard.
Well, I was gonna say, the snakes up there, if they're gonna live up there, those are gonna be some dangerous motherfuckers up
They
there.
terrify me. They terrify me. Snakes terrify me. Worms terrify me. I don't like them. When I was a kid, my grandparents used to take us fishing. I used to take pleasure in killing the worms and putting them on the hook. So I was like, yes, die. Yes,
Nice.
that was the
And yeah,
worst.
to Santi's point, I actually did. I did get a chance to meet several wrestlers as a kid, though. When I was probably like 12 to 14, I lived right next to the airport in St. Louis, and they would always stay at the Hilton, which was half a mile away. So I'd see their, after the show gets over at mid or at 10 o'clock, I'd ride my bike to the hotel, and they'd be pulling up right about 11 o'clock or so because they'd all leave as soon as they could. I got to meet Lita, the Hardy Boys. Saw Stone Cold walking through the airport a few times. Saw Kane. I didn't know it was Kane at the time. I saw him. I'm like, that looks like that Yankum guy. Because I remember Dr. Yankum. I'm like, he looks like a wrestler, but I'm just not sure. I didn't know it was Kane at the time, but it turned out it was Kane.
When I went to SummerSlam, I had the opportunity to meet a bunch of wrestlers at the ROH show. And then after the ROH show, a bunch of WWE guys were hanging out like not too far from there. Like I guess they were waiting for the people from the ROH show because I know that they're all like friends, whatever.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity to meet them. And I'm you would never tell from this, and I know I've said this to you before, but I'm a super shy person. Like when you meet me in person for the first time and I'm not comfortable with you, I'm quiet.
Yeah.
You don't know I exist. So I get super shy and I was like, no, I don't want to interrupt them. No, they seem like they're having a good time. I don't want to be that fan that goes up to them and says, hi, can I take a picture with you? No. And like, this is coming from a 30-year-old. Okay. I was like 30 years old at the time and I was terrified. I could not do it. I was just like, no, can't do it. Can't go up to them. Love them. They're amazing, but I can't go up to them. I can't talk to them. This is just like who I am. And I said this when you guys meet me. I said this to you, I think, after trivia when I was with you and AK, Felicia, and Chrissy talking afterwards. If you guys ever met me at a con, it would take me like a good, like probably couple of hours to warm up enough to even speak to you because I'm just a ball of nerves at all times.
And here's the thing, you know that about us though, that ain't gonna fly. We're coming up to you and you're family, so you're getting pulled in, and you can sit there quietly, but you're getting fucking pulled into the group, and
But I will be super quiet. You will not. You won't hear me. I'll be like as quiet as a mouse. But then you get me on stream, and it's like you can't get me to shut up. It's weird. I'm weird. I've come to that conclusion.
The one I've met as like an adult really was Evan Bourne. I was at a Story of the Year show, Matt Seidel. I was at a Story of the Year show, hanging out with the band. Name drop, I know those guys. But I'm hanging out with them, and Seidel's kind of walking around, and he comes to the band, like talking, like, hey man, that's fucking cool. I'm like, shit, you're fucking Evan Bourne. And he's like, I'm sorry, Matt Seidel. I'm like, shit, I don't know your actual name. I'm a fan. Nice to meet you, man. I appreciate your work. It's like, oh shit, fuck yeah, cool, dude. And that was it. It was like, and I wasn't like gushing over him, like, shit, hey, how you doing? But I could totally get it. Like, I don't want to be the guy, like, hey, can I get, and I wasn't like, hey, can I get a picture or everything? I was just like, hey, nice to meet you, man. I'm a fan. You fucking killing the ring, What are you doing now? Because this is after his release. And he was like, oh, I've been working in Japan and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's fucking awesome. And it's one of those, but yeah, it's still, it took me a minute because I'd seen him from across the room, and I'm like, even though I'm literally sitting here with the band that the guy just came and saw, I can't be like, I'm cool enough to talk to you because I'm just sitting with the band, But it took a little bit of prep to be like, all right, hey.
I get super shy. Like literally, like standing right in front of me, I was there to see them wrestle. I bought a ticket. They knew I bought a ticket to come watch them wrestle, but I basically was just like, I'm gonna go sit over here because I literally went to my seat and sat there politely until the show started because I was just like, nope, can't talk to them. Nope, can't do it.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading the chat. I'm trying to catch up on what DA was talking about.
Oh,
Amarillo and talk how shows even reality. Nice. That's somehow to get to Lubbock. That's cool.
no, I don't. I wish I had been. I said this the other day to one of my friends who's like an indie wrestler, or whatever, and I was like, you know, if I had been born in a different time when I would have been able to realize that this was actually a career option, maybe I would have done it.
Yeah.
But it just never seemed like it was never like it was like how do you even do this? Like how would you go about doing this? Like it wasn't like I think we had wrestling as a sport in high school, but like I think there was like maybe 6 people on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a big thing here, so I wouldn't even know how to go about it.
Because there's weight class. It's basically you get your weight class, and that's it. The team has one wrestler. Maybe
oh no, I don't even think they had a weight class. There was literally 6 people that signed up, and those 6 people were on the team.
Gotcha. And like my school, I went to private school. We didn't even have a wrestling team, which is the biggest regret of my life. I played football, which a 5'6" guy and
we didn't have football.
Pounds, 160 pounds, 5'6", and I was a lineman. I was a starting lineman. Yeah, that's how good my team was. Just putting that out there. We were bad.
We didn't have football. It got taken away the year after I started high school because the coach was a pedophile.
Yeah, my senior year we didn't have a team because literally there was 13 of us that showed up for the first practice, and they're like, yeah, we can't play with 13 people. I mean, we can. You guys are gonna be dead. So no one I can play with 13 people.
Yeah.
And so our team got cut. But we didn't have a wrestling team, and that's the big regret that I didn't go to public school because I could have been a decent wrestler back in high school and maybe made it into something. But I've always but again, at 5'8" now, and significantly.
I'm a girl. I'm a girl. 5 foot works. Bliss does it. I can do it.
Yeah, 5 foot works. And even as manager, but like I always saw myself more as the pallbearer, the Paul Heyman, the not Coco Beware, but the manager, or like I wanted to be the announcer. I wanted to be the Michael Cole, or more the Jerry Lawler. Honestly, I wanted to be the puppies, but I wanted to be that guy. But I would love to have been I would have loved to have been a ref or been a part of it. I think I've told you the story of how I almost got an assistant job for WWE. Yes. Yeah, with my brother-in-law, which that would have been a dream job.
And you told me also about the baseball announcing story too.
Yes. Yes. I actually have some decent stories, and they are true. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, none of it panned out, and I never took that step. I never had that gut. I'm gonna do it, so might as well do it. Because I bet if I fucking applied to be a WWE writer, all you have to have is a fucking kindergarten education and know who fucking Kanye West is fucking, apparently, to be a WWE writer lately. But anyway.
Hold on. All right.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I was just looking at something. Either that or I would have wanted to be like a report, like I guess kind of like what we do here, but like on like a major thing. Like if I had to finish journalism school, like that would have been the idea. But
yeah, I went to broadcasting school. Like I went to school for broadcasting.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. As much as I love doing this, I'm better at like I can talk for hours, but I'm better at writing things that actually make sense. Like I can go on tangents very easily.
And I can write and do all that, but I've always said I had the best face for radio and a decent voice for it. So I was like, I wanted to be a radio guy and be an announcer and all that kind of shit. So, but all right, I think with that said,
Yes, this is the
probably
end.
we're at about 3 hours.
We're not going past this time.
Yes,
we're gonna end it for real.
I'm still good. I know exactly what I'm saying and what I'm doing. So
no editing of this stream, Ben.
Yes.
Oh my god, the last time I freaked out because I had to edit. But yeah, no editing this time.
Still appreciate it.
All right.
Guys. Salty DA. Thank you guys.
Cheers with the bubbly water. I know it's bad luck to cheers with water, but I can't drink. This is all I'm drinking, bubbly water. Yeah. Sinuses are a bitch.
Yeah. Sadly, alcohol is one of the few things that help mine.
Bye, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us. Bye. I appreciate you all.
We'll see you next time.
Yes, next time.